business. Life is complicated. Hastings Direct Car Insurance is simple. Relationships are messy and complex and full on. Hastings Direct Car Insurance is simple. Finding your way is hard. But Hastings Direct Car Insurance is simple. Great cover, great price, and a great app that makes insurance that much simpler to get, check, and change. Hastings Direct. Simplicity is the best policy.
Hey, footy fan. All that fancy footwork, argy-bargy, goals at the UEFA Women's Euro makes you hungry, Get stuck into bundles of bargains from KFC, Easy, Burger King, Pizza Hut restaurants, Creams, Greggs, and more. Only on Just Eat. What a belter. Screamer. Worldie of a deal. Have it. Match time meal deals. We got it.
Did somebody say Just Eat?
Only available from participating stores and selected locations. Product subject to availability. Service charge may apply. See justeat.co.uk for more details.
Your website shows your honest work and your hard-won reputation, but your rapidly expanding name the nation. You've got your prices tweaked up fine. You've got awesome sales support. Now all you need is an ad campaign from the team here at TalkSport. Find out what we can do for you and advertise on TalkSport.com.
TalkSport 2. Traffic and travel.
Essex delays of 3 hours on the clockwise M25, which is queuing from just after junction 27 for the M11. This is after a protest which has closed the QE2 bridge. All traffic's being diverted off at junction 31 for Lakeside. In Hampshire, the M3 northbound is partly blocked after a collision near junction 12, and in Leicestershire, the M42 southbound is partly blocked by a lorry fire between Burton at junction 11 and Tamworth at junction 10. So do expect queues. I'm Adam Moore.
Be the first to know all the big name moves.
Absolutely incredible!
Transfer updates throughout the day on TalkSport and TalkSport 2. On DAB+, online, via the TalkSport app, and on your smart speaker. Big hitting live ball-by-ball commentary as Ireland take on New Zealand in the second T20 International.
It's smashed over towards cover!
On TalkSport 2.
And that's tucked away. And will this be a first single for Cleaver? Well, after a bit of an overthrow, yes, it will. So trotting through for his first single of his career.
Being such a long road and in sort of getting to the stage where you've always sort of dreamt of being is there was always some nerves and so I suppose the scenarios play over in your head. But I think being around the group now and seeing what it's all about and training and preparing and then running the drinks for these last few weeks sort of held me in pretty good stead, and I felt quite comfortable. And I suppose you revert back to the things you know, like wicket-keeping, batting, the things that you do at domestic cricket day in, day out. And I suppose I felt as comfortable as I could have, I think.
That was Dane Cleaver talking ahead of this. What will be, I think it's his fifth T20. Either way, we've taken the gloves. Second T20. He made his debut. Of course he did. By the way, check out Dane Cleaver's image on Cricinfo. It looks like, what's that character? Shaun the Sheep. Yeah. Actually, I can kind of see it. No, it's not Shaun the Sheep that I'm thinking of. It's
Vote Pedro.
Who?
Vote Pedro.
Yes. Who's that? Yeah, Napoleon Dynamite. That's exactly. We got there. Yep. This is radio. This is TalkSport 2, and apologies.
And now you know.
But essentially, you're listening to the second T20. It will be in about 9 minutes' time when New Zealand and Ireland take to the field. Ian O'Brien alongside me, also Kath Dalton, but Kath will be alongside Jared for the first 5 overs. So we'll continue to talk about New Zealand. Is there a feeling that this New Zealand side, which reached the final of the 2015 ODI World Cup, 2019 ODI World Cup, final of the T20 World Cup in 2021, is this team in a period of flux, do you think? Or is it all bubbling away quite nicely when you get some of those big guns back? I mean, Lockie Ferguson hasn't played for a year and a half. Adam Milne on the sidelines. You got Southey to come back, their most successful T20 bowler. Obviously, you got Trent Boult. You got quite a few. You got Williamson. You've got quite a few you've got a couple of quite a few spinning options. No Ross Taylor, unfortunately, but where do you assess this T20 side as we head towards that World Cup in Australia?
Michael Bracewell just turning into creating something and sort of forcing his way. Forcing his way into the ODI team, into the T20 team from his position in the ODI. He may not have played as much given his test form. It is a strange position given New Zealand's cricket sort of strength over the last 5-6 years, I think. And I say because normally that phrase for New Zealanders says, "Oh, they've been pretty decent for the last couple of years," but it hasn't just been the last couple of years, which is as a New Zealand fan of watching them play, it's been wonderful to sort of see them riding high. But I think there is a little bit of a dip here, but a dip for resting players and a dip at the end of a big cricket World Cup and a successful cricket World Cup, almost. So it looks all right. It looks okay. And one of the other things is, there's now a lot more players with experience, and the coaching staff are all getting a little bit more experience as well. They're sort of sharing some of those duties and some of those roles to keep everyone fit and fresh and in the job longer. Those things help.
Sometimes when you consider the way that we tie ourselves up into knots in this country with the formats, the pressures, the fact that you've got so much cricket going on, and you wonder how you can get essentially cricketers to perform at the very highest level in Test cricket when they're playing so little red ball stuff, in 50 over cricket when they're not really playing 50 over cricket anymore, and T20 cricket when they're not really available to play T20 cricket anymore. We spend a lot of time, there's a lot of words written about this, but if you look at New Zealand, the Super Smash doesn't really attract a high overseas talent, and the New Zealand players don't play a great deal in it when they're on international duty. New Zealand plays 4 Test matches a home summer. And essentially, the Plunket Shield has got it's been reduced. It was reduced the last time of asking, so they play very little red ball cricket, but New Zealand is to compete and better than that. So, are we kind of looking at the wrong things here when we're looking at the failings of English cricket when New Zealand don't have any of those things either, but they're still doing pretty well?
I look at the English summer and think there's too much cricket in general, and that doesn't give a lot of players the best opportunity to play the best cricket for the longest possible time. So in county cricket, and having had a little taste of it, players do take it easy. They don't have a game off, but they certainly
switch off
a little bit, yes. And we saw a little bit in that previous T20. I think Adair, when he was bowling to when Adair was bounced straight about the next one, that can bring your opponents down. But and the nature of New Zealand summer, the more importance they have on each other game. But I think the thing for me is when switching between formats is mindset, and your mindset comes from being able to change your mindset, being able to change how you go about playing your game. And when you're rested, chance of going into it emotionally fit, as opposed to being worn down and tired. I think when you're worn down and tired, you do need a lot longer to transition from the formats. I think when you're cool, calm, and have got a little bit of rest behind you, going from a T20 one day to a test match, say in 3 days' time, I don't think is difficult if you're quite well rested, if you've been well looked after, if you've had the appropriate rest and the flights are all good. And I think that is a big thing that we're seeing. A lot of that player welfare, personal welfare that New Zealand's cricket is focusing on. And I think that allows them to switch between formats and travel so well and win home and often win away, because the player welfare it just seems, and this is inside looking out as well as outside looking in, player welfare is pretty much number one. The results will follow, and genuinely, it is player welfare first and results on the back of that, which is something I love. I've always, well, since sort of retiring, I realised that actually if you have happy people, you have happy performers, and that's been something that I've wanted to make cricket with the roles that I've done since is let's make sure the people are happy, and then worry about the players. We're talking about the same person, but the person before the performer, making sure that they're in a good place. And I think New Zealand are doing that pretty well. And there's some good staff, certainly staff that were around when I was playing. It's going back some time now. They're still there. That longevity, that consistency, that helps. And then there's been a couple of changes at the top, which have all transitioned really well. So I think they've bridged a gap in world cricket that has been very difficult. But I think New Zealand have done it pretty well.
Well, they do a lot of things well. That was the voice of Ian O'Brien. He will be back in about 5 overs time. But for now, as the New Zealand openers get ready to stop batting in this second T20, I'll throw over to your commentary team, the former Ireland international Kath Dalton, and also top writer, hilarious individual.
In real life.
One of the funniest people you can read. Not quite as funny in the flesh, but he's not bad. It's Jarrod Kibber.
It's a shame you didn't mention all of Kath's achievements. West Ham, Tottenham, Chelmsford under 12 netballer. She's going through them before.
Tiddlywinks.
Exciting here, Mark Adair, I'm assuming he's going to be taking a first over. We're just going through it here. Oh, it's Craig Young. Craig Young going through the first over, which is a shame because I had all my Mark Adair stats ready for you to go, because Mark Adair is one of the best power play bowlers in the world, and I don't think we talk about it enough, Kath.
You've done your research. Yeah. You've done your research today, yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. It's a real shame. I got so ready to talk about him. I've been pumping him up for so long, and I missed the last game where I did absolute tons. Anyway, it's Young, who is going to be bowling. I think it's Guptill, who will be. We're just waiting for. Just wait for the umpires. Oh, they got the thumbs up. Okay, gents. Wait. I thought he said pigeons. I think he meant gents there. Young coming in. Slippery place is Sterling. This is down the leg side, turned to deep backward point. Deep backward square leg, sorry. And then it's going to take one. So New Zealand get off the mark with a single. It's Curtis Campher down on the boundary. He seems to spend a lot of his time on the boundary. They like either they don't like him, Kath, or he's really good out there.
No, get him out of the ring. I think that's what they're saying. It'll be interesting to see how this pitch plays, because last time the New Zealand batters in the first innings found it very difficult to time the ball. Equally did the Ireland batters as well. But see how this pitch, how this surface plays today.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. It's not as good a batting pitch as Malahide, though, is it, in general?
No, it's not meant to be. I think this is a lot more tricky than Malahide.
Finn Allen is facing Young. He comes down the wicket. He's tried to pull this off the front foot as he's flicked down. This could go anywhere. I think that is just dropped not far from Curtis Campher. He's essentially played a hook shot on the run at his first ball, which is proper cricket.
Yeah, very aggressive start by Finn Allen. Something as well in the last T20 game, it was difficult for the batters to time anything that was short. So Craig Young knows that, and he's gone for the short ball very early. It's just dropped short of Campher there, actually.
I'm not sure Campher didn't run around that a little bit in the end. I wonder if he came in a bit too far from the boundary. Anyway, they got two, so Finn Allen is 2 from 1. He's facing Young again. This is a good ball at the stumps. There's half an appeal, but it's sliding down leg side, and there's no run there.
The thing is, when you've played one game, one T20 international on a ground like this, you start to know the conditions a lot better. So will the New Zealand openers, particularly Guptill, struggled in that first T20 international? He didn't time many deliveries at all. Will he learn from that and adjust his game? I suppose that's what makes you a great cricketer rather than just a good cricketer.
Young in again, short again. This time Finn Allen gets a lot more of it, and that's in the trees. So sorry if you just happen to be walking past the ground. That might have smacked someone. None of the fans even got up. The Kiwi fans and the Irish fans all sat down. It was a big hit. A 6 to start. He's 8 of 3, Allen, and he's played, well, 2 huge shots already.
Yeah, this was a wonderful shot, way too short a delivery, and he's just lent on that and just smashed it basically into the trees.
Or not short enough.
Not short enough, yeah.
Because the other one was a little higher, wasn't he? He was walking at the other one, though, to make it. And we've got it. Man comes out from the crowd. He seemed to be filming that for TikTok. One hand on his phone, one hand on the ball, as if to say, this is it, I've got the ball, everyone. He throws it to Curtis Camphor and it comes back.
Surprised we got the ball back, actually.
Yeah, so is it a park? I've been in Malahide, I've never been to Stormont. What is it outside the trees? Come on.
I'm not actually sure. I've never played there, in fact. So I played at Breedy Cricket Club in Northern Ireland, but never here, so...
I'll be on the trees. This was a length ball on the stumps, and Finn Allen was right across the off stump as he flicks out the short fine leg. Sorry, go.
Something key, particularly in the first 6 in the power play, is your fielding in the ring. If you can stop singles in the ring, something New Zealand did well last T20 was they pushed a few singles in the ring and Ireland weren't quite on it. So I'd like to see a better intensity level in the ring from these Ireland fielders.
Young in again. Allen comes down the wicket and he biffs this over wide, long on, and that is going to go a couple of bounces for 4. No respect. Suddenly, sorry to sound like Rodney Dangerfield, but that's how he played that. He just came down and whacked it. The end of the first over, Young, who's usually a very good bowler of the first over, goes for 13. New Zealand are off to a flyer, Kath.
That was a wonderful shot. Just used his feet to a length delivery, knowing that there was no one out at deep mid-wicket, cow corner area, targeted it and hit a really great shot for 4. This is a positive start by New Zealand, really positive. I'm enjoying this.
So, both of these bowlers for Ireland are very much power play specialists. I think where they struggle is usually at the death. I think Josh Little will become their main death bowler, but it's finding one of the other seamers to become the second one is the problem. But this is a big challenge. So Adair is coming from wide of the crease. He swings away right into the swinging arc of Guptill, but he hits this out to Curtis Camphor, who's still being told he stinks by everyone else and kept as far away from everyone. It was a loose ball by Adair, but he is a fantastic bowler in this format, but also right up front.
He is. He gets the ball to shape, and also he's got a really good Yorker in him at the top. It's just a shame because he doesn't really get his Yorkers in at the death as well as possibly he'd like. So something to learn from Mark Adair, but it's a challenge, isn't it, at the back end of the innings to get things right. But he's got a new ball in his hand at the moment, so he can get this to shape around. He can be a handful.
Yeah, certainly got some swing on that first ball. Sterling's and slip becomes wide on the crease again. This doesn't move at all, and he's flat batted almost all the way to long off. They had the long off in, or out, if you will, and it didn't matter to Finn Allen because he doesn't really worry about fielders on boundaries, and he takes him on anyway. But it's one bounce. He sort of mistimed that. They just end up, I think, just taking a single out there.
And that looked like a tactic, actually, because cover was out before, so I'm not sure whether he had a third or fine out as well. It looked like a little bit of a tactic there.
Yeah. Interesting, that long off and a slip in place. This is a wide. It's on the wide line and swings further away, and an easy call for the umpire there. I think that's Rolly Black, isn't it? Oh no, that might be the other umpire, the other Irish umpire there, but Guptill leaves that alone. He's 2 from 2. Finn Allen's 13 from 6.
And Mark Adair's getting the ball to shape away today. Normally he gets it to shape back in, so whether he'll bowl his in-swinger at some stage in this over would be a good variation.
He's bowling massively wide on the crease at the moment. So there's some kind of tactic here. There's something that the analyst is seeing. This is on the pads. And Guptill flicks this out to deep backward square. And they just take the single. So there's clearly something going on. With Wise coming wide on the crease, and I think it's both of them. That was the wobble ball. That one did come back in a little bit, and Guptill ended up playing that a little bit across his pad down to the backward square leg.
Yeah, it looks like a tactic. I like this because they're bowling to a game plan, Ireland, whereas I felt even though they got early wickets in the last game, there wasn't a clear game plan. So
Adair gets inside edge of Finn Allen, who again tries to force the ball. This bounces back over the stumps. Finn Allen had no idea where that was, actually. It was Martin Guptill who called him through. It was a bit of a tight run in the end as Lorcan Tucker comes around and fires at the stumps. But that was a good ball. The last couple he's angled back, has he? I'm not sure if it's just a wobble ball, actually, and maybe just coming on straight from that angle that he's bowling.
So the one before that delivery did look like it just angled back in a little bit. You can obviously bowl the wobble seam delivery that can hit either side of the seam and go either way. Bowlers claim they control that. I'm not sure.
This is 2 straight from Adair this time, and he's been picked off easily out to the sweeper on the leg side. Not the strongest over from Mark Adair. He's been kind of all over the shop at the moment. To be honest, he hasn't really been punished for it, but he's been a little bit everywhere. Wide of off stump and now a little bit too straight.
Yeah, you take the best bowlers in the world in the power play. They use the new ball very well and they get their seam position immaculate and they're consistent. Mark Adair lacking some consistency here.
Really wide on the crease. This one does hit the seam and comes back in and is tucked away on the leg side, and that is going to take another single. That's the end of the second over. So Ireland sent New Zealand in, and New Zealand are 20 without loss after 2. Guptill is 4 from 4, and Finn Allen is 15 from 8. So just looking at Adair's power play record, he's taken 23 wickets with an economy of 6.2 over the last couple of years. Bowling average of 17.7, which I think when I looked it up the other day, I think his last 3 years he has the best bowling average in the power play in the world. He's been absolutely brilliant. So that, for him, is quite a disappointing over. To be fair, Craig Young's quite a good power play bowler also. And we're just seeing the most T20 international sixes, which is Martin Guptill. And, well, after Young's first over, we're seeing a change already with Josh Little coming in. Is this part of the plan, or is this he got whacked in the first over?
I think it's just keeping the batters on their toes, mixing it up, change of angle, obviously with the left armour as well. And he's off the back of taking 4 wickets in the last T20 international against New Zealand. So he's in good touch. Josh Little, he's bowling well, and while someone's confident, you may as well throw them a new ball. Hasn't gone to plan so far, so change it up and try and get a wicket.
Again, another good power play bowler. They've got 3 of them. As Little is going to come in, no slip, and Finn Allen comes across and tries to jam down on that. Might have even swung back through in the bat and the pad. He got him in was it the last game he got him? Was that the T20? Or has he got him a couple of... Yeah, he got Finn Allen in the last game, didn't he? He also, it should be pointed out that Martin Guptill only has 2 weaknesses really in his T20 play. It's finger spin of both kinds and left arm seam, which he doesn't particularly like. So there's no doubt that Little with Finn Allen's wicket in the last game and also the good matchup against Guptill, they probably wanted to give Young an over just because Young's real power play specialist. Now they've gone to Little, who's coming over the wicket. Finn Allen goes all the way outside off stump. He's beaten on the outside edge now, so he's been beaten on the inside and the outside. Was that lucky not to be a wide, Kath?
That was close.
It didn't shake back, did it? If it shaked back, I think it would have been okay. It cut across the line. It was good length and good width on that. And Finn Allen's probably sitting there going, probably should have taken that.
I think because he moved across his stunts, Phil Allen, that's possibly why it wasn't called a wide, but maybe a little bit lucky there for Josh Little.
2 dot balls to start his over though. Gone past either edge. Comes again, slow ball to Cutter, and it is belted over mid-off, and it goes for 4. They don't have the long off out for Josh Little. I think they had the deep point out for him, probably because of his angle. Again, Finn Allen didn't quite time that, but he moves to 19 from 11.
Oh, great shot, and he's capitalised on what was a half volley. Even though it was a slower ball, it was a half volley in the slot, and it deserved to be dispatched. However, I'd argue maybe the wrong field set. If you're going to bowl a slow ball, you need someone out straight.
Yeah, that length as well. It probably just overpitched a little bit. It seemed very slow to me. It's back of a length, and this is pulled again by Finn Allen, and Curtis Campher doesn't go for that catch. They're going to take a single. Josh Little looks confused, and Curtis Campher is now doing that thing that we've all done in the field, where we're shaking our head as if to say, didn't pick it up. I just didn't pick it up.
You start squinting your eyes, looking for your sunglasses. That's what you should have been doing. I have no idea why he hasn't pelted in and pulled out the full length dive for that ball.
I don't think he would have got to it, even if he'd gone full on, but he decided very early on that was a bit short of him, didn't he? He's a very quick mover, Curtis Campher. I've already talked about him on the boundary quite a bit. But anyway, they get a single. Alan moves to 20 from 12. Martin Guptill is facing Josh Little, who bowls very good pace, back of a length that hits the bat very, very hard and is just defended by Martin Guptill.
A lovely shape on that delivery, just that angle backing, good seam position by Josh Little. He's a good bowler, he's a clever bowler. Just needs to hit that area more consistently and make the New Zealand batters do something different to score off him.
Guptill is 4 off 5. Not really played a shot in anger yet. Little coming over the wicket, left arm, pace. Oh, and he comes straight through him. That was exactly the same ball that he bowled a moment ago, but this one moved a lot more, and it cut Guptill in half, who ends up making a grunting sound as it goes through to the wicketkeeper. 25 for none after 3 overs. Very good over from Josh Little, just pulling it back a little bit in Ireland's favour here.
Yeah, he did. He pulled that over back very well from what was quite an inconsistent start. He looked to bowl quite wide. It seems to be a tactic to Finn Allen. They're looking to bowl quite wide, and maybe they're trying to shape it back into Guptill. That's his vulnerable area. We saw that delivery that just shaped back. It did cut him in half, and interestingly, Guptill tried, he practiced a shot through the offside after that ball, which was interesting, bearing in mind it came back in. So it looked like a tactic.
Yeah, it would have been a hell of a shot if he played it on the offside. Barry McCarthy is coming on. So we're certainly seeing some changes. We're in the 4th over. We're seeing the 4th bowler from Ireland so far. Finn Allen, they've got deep backward square, and I think long off is out as well. So everyone else is on the ring on the offside. So where is Finn Allen going to go? McCarthy comes in, his right arm medium pace. He bowls it in the slot on middle and leg stump, and that is caught in the crowd. The crowd's quite excited for the fact that Barry McCarthy's just come on and been dispatched first ball, but a man with a lot of hair has taken a very good catch out at long on.
Not dissimilar to your hair.
It's a bit similar.
That was a lovely shot. Really great shot. Almost a check drive, lofted check drive over mid-on. Timed it beautifully. This is the best timing I've seen of any batter on this pitch so far. Really great time.
McCarthy comes in again. This is back of a length, and it's just helped along past the short fine leg, and that goes for 4. He gets inside it. Barry McCarthy it's not a terrible ball. I think Finn Allen has made it look worse than it is, but the timing on that, Kath, was incredible.
He's in good touch today, isn't he, Finn Allen? Wow, what a shot this was. Anything just slightly loose is just getting taken. Pivot pull, great shot. Shot before, lofted over mid-on. He looks in great touch today.
Barry McCarthy's first 2 balls have gone for 10 runs. And as I said, he's the 4th bowler they've used. It just pulled New Zealand back a little bit. Short outside off stump, and this is pulled away, but it's in front of the sweeper. In fact, geez, he's timed that so well, that's gone for another 4. There's a sweeper out a deep backward square leg, but that's gone in front of square, and we now have 6-4-4. New Zealand go for 39 after 3.5 overs. Panic stations?
Panic stations for Barry McCarthy for sure, but not for Finn Allen. He looks in really good touch here. Even that was slightly mistimed off his bat. It's still rocketed away for 4.
We've said that about 3 times, and they've all gone flying for 4, though, haven't they?
I would like his bat, I think.
He is 34 off 15. Barry McCarthy is thinking, how do I get past the back end of this over? Comes in again, a backhand slow ball perhaps, or some kind of a slow ball bouncer, and it ends up hitting Finn Allen as he tries to pull this. Now, did that hit him on the shoulder? It did something off the pitch. It wasn't that slow, though. It was still almost 130 kilometres. Where did that hit him?
I think that either hit his body. I thought for a second it might have hit his helmet, but obviously didn't. Slow ball bouncer definitely from Barry McCarthy there. Good comeback, actually. Great comeback delivery.
Interesting delivery with not many players down on the boundary, and you've gone for that many boundaries so far. Comes in again, and this one looks like he rolls his fingers over this again. Smash straight to backward point, and Paul Sterling's there, and there is no run. That might have even been a cross-seam delivery. So they're going for everything that they can here. Yeah, it was 136 kilometres. So, again, decent pace. They're almost bowling death bowling to Finn Allen already.
Sometimes you have to, if a batter's in good touch and they are dispatching you for 4s and 6s, you have to go to your defensive mode quite early on.
McCarthy's gone for 14 off his 5 balls so far. This is a good slow ball, straight, and Finn Allen picks it quite late, but he turns it on the leg side, and they take 1. So 40 runs after 4 overs, and if I just put my mathematics hat on, I believe that's 10 and over they're going at so far here on TalkSport 2 with Jared Kimber and Kath Dalton. Reminder that we're bringing more of Ireland's home fixtures this summer with the upcoming white ball series against South Africa here live on TalkSport 2. And just a reminder, if you are listening on your smart speaker but you need to be on the move, you can listen to us for free on the TalkSport app, which is also for free. Everything's free. You can swipe between TalkSport and TalkSport 2, a little bit like Tinder, but for sports radio. No? Not like Tinder? All right. Cass says no. 40 for none, New Zealand. Great start here after 4 overs. And we've already seen 4 different seamers tried by Ireland, but for the first time we're getting someone having a second over. Josh Little coming. Finn Allen facing up, and he's got a top edge, and this is just gone over short, fine leg. Craig Young doesn't have the greatest turning circle, but you have to be an incredible athlete to get that. Oh, in fact, there was no bat. He's just giving it leg by. I thought there was a little bit on it. Josh Little, I think, might have thought that as well at the time. But as he's tried to pull this Finn Allen, I still thought that had something on it. But
top of his 5 pad, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. But it just gets past short, fine leg and trickles away to the boundary for 4 leg bys. The runs keep coming. 44 off 26, 44 from 4.1. This is a flat bat shot back down the ground, and it is caught. He got absolutely nothing on that. Barry McCarthy was desperate to get Finn Allen away from the crease, and it was clocked so poorly that it just scooped up in the air, and Barry McCarthy comes flying around and catches this basically behind the umpire. But Finn Allen's done his job. He's got New Zealand off to a great start.
He has. That was a proper power play innings by Finn Allen, but a great catch by Barry McCarthy. And a breakthrough that Ireland certainly needed at this stage. Finn Allen looked like he was going, and I think at one stage I felt like he was going to go big. At least get a 50, maybe even a T20 100 with that strike rate. 35 for just 20 deliveries.
And Cleaver is coming in, Dane Cleaver, who apparently, according to John Norman and Ian O'Brien, looks like Napoleon Dynamite, which I think is libelous, but I'm not sure. We'll have to check that. 44 for 1 anyway after 4.2.
I can kind of see the similarity.
He's got less hair today, so there's less Napoleon Dynamite to him at the moment. It was a good move for them to keep Little on as well. I know he'd done so well, he'd done well so far, but they had been moving things around. He's the first bowler that probably demanded a second over, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. He was the only bowler who bowled with any kind of consistency and got the ball to shake back in, particularly to Guptill. So he looks the biggest threat so far, and Ireland's premier bowler at the moment.
Guptill gets the ball back of the length. It was the one that cut him in half last over. This time he just drops it on the offside, and he takes a single. Maybe that's what he was practicing last over, is just knocking it on the offside and getting off strike. He just doesn't like left-armers as much as he likes other bowling.
Yeah, and a great reason to keep Josh Little on for a second over. See if they can get the big wicket at Guptill.
Just absolutely cloth that. When he mishit that originally, I thought this has gone nowhere and he might get caught. But all the other mishits have gone for forecast, so I wasn't quite prepared to pick that particular as going away. But he got absolutely nothing. He must have hit it very high up on the bat, did it?
Yeah, it did. Very high up on the bat, but very good catch. We've just seen the replay there. Great catch by Barry McCarthy. Yeah,
it came around from mid-on. They've got a slip back in place for Dane Cleaver. And he went out to Finn Allen in the last game. I'm trying to remember how he dismissed him. Was it caught behind, perhaps? Was it one of these balls that straightened? I'm trying to remember now. Outside off stump, beats him on the... As he tries to flash this away through point. That ball died, though.
Yeah, I was going to say that kept very, very low.
Tucker did well. He got it on the half volley in the end. They just brought the slip in. They just brought Paul Sterling in at slip, but that one really didn't do much off the surface at all. When you bang the balls in, they sort of get a bit stuck here, don't they?
I'm surprised at how low that kept.
Cleaver faces up again and gets a back of a length ball and just guides that down to third man, Market Fields, and they'll just take a single. So Little's got 1 for 7 from his 1.5.
And that back of the length delivery is working for Josh Little, so I think he needs to go with massive variation. He's got a slip in place, new ball in hand. I know it's into the 5th over, but just keep hitting that back of a length area and getting it to go off the seam. And he's proving a handful when he does that.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of seam movement at time, but he's also been swinging the ball. Guptill, 5 off 7 is facing Josh Little. He punches this out to deep point and to the sweeper. It's the end for 1. Kath Dalton and I are going to have a spell, and on comes the incredibly quick-witted John Norman and his partner Ian O'Brien.
Must have died a little bit when Kath said that guy that caught the ball in the crowd had your haircut.
I was happy with that. I like that.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of hair going on with that guy. It's a good catch, good low catch as well.
It was a good low catch. I reckon the soft signal would have been not out. 47 for 1 then. A fast start. I tell you what, I had all my Finn Allen stats ready, a bit like you with the dare earlier on, Jared. And then he was out 3 balls before I came on, so I won't bother telling you just what he got up to in the Super Smash.
Plenty.
He did.
Plenty.
That's all I can doubt.
Yeah, plenty.
Mark Adair, Jared's man, back to bowl his second over. And this is pushed into the offside. Paul Sterling has a shot at the stumps at the non-strikers. Guptill gets through though, 7 from 9.
Afternoon again, John.
Good afternoon, IOB.
Happy with it? Well, I'm happy with the start. Did you see the first T20? I know it's kind of putting you on the spot.
No, I listened.
So
Zealand, neither Guptill nor Cleaver showing anything approaching the kind of timing we associate with Guptill. Too early in Cleaver's career, really, to make that kind of statement. But pressure already for a guy that's playing just his second international match for New Zealand.
I'm not an international number 3 by any means. You're backing away from a bowler, and he follows it at about 50 to be playing.
George Dockrell is going to have his
just over extra cover for 4.
Dockrell again, and forward is Cleaver, and plays the ball nicely along the ground to long on, who comes in from the boundary.
That's a different player, John, isn't it?
Yes.
From the previous 2 overs to the guy that's hit those 2 balls for a 4 and a single, that's a different player completely, aesthetically and confidently.
Dockrell again, wide of the crease, defended by Guptill. Uses that long reach to nullify anything really that was going to be extracted from the pitch. But this is a T20. Good looking shot, defensive shot in a test match, as this time the ball is flicked off the pads by Guptill, who runs the first one quickly, but not quick enough, I don't think, to come back for a second. Score moves to 60 for 1 New Zealand. 2 balls left of the 8th over. George Dockrell, who doesn't bowl in ODIs anymore, but does in T20s, or certainly hasn't for the last 10 or so. Beaten this time is Cleaver. He comes forward and essentially wristily tries to play this ball towards the offside, as is the way with slow left armers. There is a shout for a stumping, but nobody looks particularly excited.
I checked the front foot.
No,
it's a fair delivery. Can we start with front
obligatory?
lawn,
I think obligatory checking the back foot, but keeper not so much. The New Zealand camper sitting at square leg. They were watching on, if you like. They saw it in real time, but not a lot. But that's going back to the previous Dane Cleaver in terms of
appear to be any bat
positioning and how he's looked to hit that. There's a real 2 Dane Cleavers today.
Are they actually looking for a caught behind?
No, they are obliged to. I think obliged to go through the
we will go
through the process.
Your best side angle, please.
It's quite a sneaky way of getting a little DRS for a caught behind, then, isn't it? Just by going for the stumping.
And foot is back. Yeah. I've made my decision for the lights.
Either way, it's not out as the green light flashes up, and Cleaver remains. I mean, 10 from 12 is still going at a better strike rate than Guptill. 10 from 15.
That's true. That's true. Guptill has also looked delicious and then looked awkward at times in this innings. Maybe it was just Finn Allen who made the pitch look flat.
On the reverse, this time it's Cleaver, and misses this delivery by quite some distance. In fact, he missed this ball by more distance than the ball missed the wicket. Head in hands time for Dockrell. And that's the end of the over. 6 from it, and the score after 8 overs here on TalkSport 2 in this must-win clash for Ireland. They're 1-0 down with this and one other to play after New Zealand won the first T20. It's 60 for 1. Finn Allen, 35 from 20, and I still think that 4 runs which were given as byes possibly did come off the bat. But essentially, since his dismissal, which was in the 5th over, New Zealand have singly struggled to get on top of the island bowling. I wonder who they're going to bring back now, though, because Cleaver did look slightly more confident against the slow left arm of Dockrell, and it's Young who is in. Inside edge onto the pads of Guptill. He calls through Cleaver. It's not at the striker's end that Young's interested in throwing the stumps out. It's a non-striker's end. Either way, the batters are both home, 61 for 1.
I might have to just retract a little bit of things here. Just thinking back to the first T20 and the pitch, Finn Allen did make this look easy, and they bowled some slot to him admittedly. They bowled some nice length, middle and off, and he hit the ball, bowled a couple of short ones where he got a little bit lucky as well. So I think we do need to take Finn Allen's innings out of the equation a little bit. Come back to that.
Into the pitch again, and that sounds good, looks good, and is good. That's it in the slot for Cleaver. swivel pull, and it flies into into a tree essentially.
Well, that's
67 for 1.
Well,
New Zealand.
That's the shot I was kind of expecting when they bowled into his hit. The last ball of the previous over to Dockrell's over. He sort of shimmied away, got a back of a length delivery, and he was trying to push it into the offside for 1. But that was the shot there that I was more expecting, and was sort of had been. I don't know. You sort of get trained into how people play the cricket ball, and that was how Dane would play it. Dane Cleaver would play it. And he's on top of it there. So going back, I think New Zealand have this. I think they are understanding the pitch is still not that easy to play on.
Forward and nicely played into the covers by Cleaver. He'll come back for a second. It's fielded by the sweeper, but again, a good-looking shot for 2 there.
That's nice. That's nice. Just a little bit of pace off from the bowler. Sat on it and got on top of it off the back foot. Pushed it through the offside.
When he's
hands.
When he's looked good.
Oh,
he's looked.
That's simple. Completely different player though.
Yeah. Little knee flex by Cleaver, and no run, takes out short mid wicket. Dash at the stumps again, 69 for 1.
It's like those Napoleon Dynamite dance scenes, and then to him how he is in everyday life. Completely different sort of people.
I mean, there must be a lot going on though, isn't there? Especially, I mean, you've played in front of big crowds, you played in front of small crowds. Early on in your career, does it help when you walk to the crease and you can hear pretty much everything that's being said in the crowd? Forward on the drive is Cleaver. He moves to 19 and he's going better than a runner ball now. 70 for 1. I mean, there must be so much going on there.
I couldn't even hear my own mind think. I couldn't. My own mind was too noisy for that anyway, sort of thing. So it didn't matter for me how many there were there. But going back to something I said earlier, look, he's 30 and he's getting his sort of first chance. He's on debut. The previous game wasn't the easiest of surfaces. He was 6 off 8 or something, 5 off 7 in his first innings.
Last ball of Young, second over bouncer. Guptill climbs into it, picks out the fielder. Stationed for exactly that shot at fine leg. And it's Barry McCarthy with his second take. And Guptill's got to go for 11. 70 for 2, New Zealand. 9 overs in.
That's Guptill of 14 years ago. This sounds horrible, but that's exactly how I got Guptill out about 14 years ago. Just put the fine leg back and bowled a bumper, and he's just sort of helped it on her way around the corner, straight down the throat of fine leg. Again, emphasising that it's just not probably the pitch that the score, or maybe my frustration at the scoring rate, is. The pitch, like the other day, must be just harder to find your timing, harder to get your good-looking cricket shots out. It was ugly runs that won the game for New Zealand the other day, and I think at times there's certainly been some ugly runs, but also today there's been some really nice cricket. So I'm sort of still betwixt in sort of summarising the conditions and the pitch, and then how New Zealand are trying to play this.
It keeps it interesting though, doesn't it? Good shots, good bowling, some nice fielding. 70 for 2 New Zealand. 9 overs in, and suddenly, looking in a position where they were going to clear 180, 190. We're now having to remodify.
That shot from Guptill, just watching the replay on the screen we've got, and he's just helped it. As if he didn't think fine leg was out. There was square leg was out and fine leg was there, and he's hit catching practice. He's had a pretty good run of it, Martin Guptill, and this is what's his 5th innings, isn't it? In this series.
Okay, so Cleaver readies himself as Dockrell is in. This is fired into the pads of Cleaver, who's back and across and plays this again along the ground. Risk-free cricket from New Zealand. Glenn Phillips only really turned the game on his head with that late order cameo in the first T20. New to the crease and about to face his first delivery.
Ugly though the other day, and that was the word for me that probably summed up the game. It wasn't a pretty game of cricket, but it was an ugly 69 off 52.
About to face his first delivery. Phillips forward, defensive. no run. Can Ireland get another cheap one out here? Touch wider of the crease this time from Dockrell. Played to square leg by Phillips, who is off the mark. And a little bit more importance now on Cleaver's innings, how he goes about things for the next couple of overs.
Well, we don't need a young John Travolta, young Greece John Travolta for George Dockrell.
I'm not sure he's that young anymore, you know. This is flashed away square of the wickets for another single.
He's certainly younger than John Travolta. They just keep giving us a profile shot of George Dockrell. There's a
tossed up a little bit more by Dockrell. No real turn on show, but accurate and defended again.
As you were, sorry.
Ian O'Brien's coming to the end of his commentary stint. Massive 5-over affair as Phillips is forward and punches this to long off for another single. So another tight over for Ireland. Dockrell's 2 have gone for 10. We're at the halfway stage of the innings. New Zealand asked to bat first by Ireland. We need to win this game to keep the series alive. With Phillips and Cleaver at the crease. And they are 74 for 2. And it's time to hand over the commentary duties as Ian O'Brien goes for a lie down. Former Ireland international Kath Dalton and Jarrah Kimber.
I just looked it up, Kath. John Travolta was 23 when he was in Greece, so George Dockrell would be an old Greece John Travolta, if anything.
Not sure he'd get the part.
He may not get the part. He's probably a little bit more weathered. He spent a lot of time outdoors, George Dockrell. He played a lot of cricket for someone his age. He started quite young, didn't he?
I remember him bursting on the scene actually in the Under-19 World Cup.
Yes. Arguably after about a year and a half, there was talk that England were not far away. Like he was really looked at that level as a prospect, and unfortunately his bowling has dropped off, but his batting is the one that stepped up late. Phillips sort of plays around a little bit and steals a single up to mid-off, and they just take 175 for 2 here on TalkSport 2 with Jarrah Kimber and Kath Dalton.
It's a crucial part now, this middle phase of a T20. This is where you either put the accelerator on as the batting side, or you can pick up some cheap wickets as well as a bowling side and just stem the flow of runs. So Curtis Campher's one for taking a wicket at the right time.
Cleaver is facing up to him. He's 21 off 19 balls, and he gets a slower ball back of a length that he whacks a full shot out to deep backward square. Oh, what are they doing? They decided to run then when Young had the ball in his hands and he was cocked, ready to throw when suddenly Phillips decided to start running. I don't know what the confusion was, but in the end there would have been a run out by about 4 meters if they'd gone through with that.
He's got a big smile on his face as well. He knows he got that completely wrong.
I don't know what he thought he heard, unless a fielder made the call.
I've seen that before.
Under 13? Yeah. Phillips is facing up again. He's 3 off 5. Short ball. This is quicker. He smashes this out to deep backward square, but both the leg side fielders actually converge on it. And the ball is tossed in as they share it. And good fielding in the end. And they keep it down to 1. He's gone with the slow ball into the pitch, and now the quicker ball into the pitch, as we just see a replay of Adair throwing the ball to Dockrell. Baseball fielding, really, those two out there.
Nothing wrong with a bit of baseball.
Camper again, half volley on leg stump, which is flicked by Cleaver out to long on, or out to deep mid wicket, in fact, and they just take the 1 again. So 4 singles. It's been binary. We've had a couple of moments in this game where we've gone to binary scoring, just 1 coming up at the moment, or 1s and 0s if you technically want to be binary. I don't think they have dots on coding. Can you code, Kath?
I cannot code.
Oh, that's a shame. You could have helped me there. I don't think they use them anyway.
I'll be the worst person to ask.
I'll get Ian O'Brien on before. He's probably tried to code before.
He's got too much time on his hands.
Camphor in again. Good pace in at the stumps. Sort of a length ball in the end, and it's just pushed back by Phillips to the bowler. He's frustrated with himself. Thinks he probably should have done more with that delivery. 78 for 2 in New Zealand. Phillips on 4 from 7. Cleaver 23 from 21.
And talking of boundaries, they are hard to come by because Guptill didn't score a boundary in his innings. And only got 11, but 17 balls, no boundary.
Short, slow ball, outside off stump. Phillips has had enough of all this nonsense. He hits it to the large pocket at deep extra cover for a 4. Kath Dalton has inspired him to hit that, but it was a good slower ball, and the pace was fine, but it was too short, it was too wide, and it just got absolutely whacked.
Yeah, right as well. Almost trying to, like a big leg cutter.
Yeah, it was.
That just went wrong, almost came out the back of his hand, and that got absolutely dispatched.
We were talking about this in some of the one-days. Curtis Camphor has all the skills, but he doesn't always perfect them, if that makes sense.
I think all of the island bowlers, to an extent, they've got a lot of skill, but it's just that consistency, and I think that's the difference between winning more games of cricket than losing. It's just consistency, and they've lacked that. The ball did seam around early on as well, so they can get a lot of seam and a bit of swing. It's just that consistency for the island bowlers.
Realistically, they've got 4 power play bowlers here, because McCarthy probably should be a power play bowler as well, and they're struggling to fit them all in, and that's and they probably, Finn Allen ruined that as McCarthy comes in again, and he follows Cleaver here and hits him on the pad, and it trickles out on the leg side. There's no run. So there's so much, so many of their bowlers are that sort of, seam dependent, swing dependent sort of bowlers. They don't really have any strength in the middle, I wouldn't say.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Barry McCarthy actually has come back very well after that first over that went for 15. So he's bowling a lot better. His lengths are better, and his slow ball length is better as well. So he's learned from that first over, that's for sure.
McCarthy in again, reverse scoop from Cleaver. I was confused because for a moment he looked like he was confused. He was going to play one shot and the ball wasn't quite there, and he's ended up reverse scooping this 4-6 off the middle of the bat over second slip's head, if there was a second slip there. Fantastic shot, great improvisation from the top of off, Kath.
That is absolutely outrageous, that shot. It looked like he just put his bat out to dry, or like a frying pan, and just flicked it. And it's gone all the way for 6.
Yeah, he was going to reverse, wasn't he? A big hit, I think. And then when the ball came, he just decided to ramp it. McCarthy in again, slow ball on off stump, almost identical except a little bit slower. This time he walks across his stumps and flicks it out the leg side. They take 1. Shows you how annoying it must be to be a modern bowler. Like, you bowl the same ball twice and they play completely different shots to you.
Yeah, that's the challenge in T20 cricket in particular, is where do you bowl, where do you set your fielders? Cleaver's actually playing a decent little knock here. He seems to be growing into his innings. That scoop shot for 6 was absolutely ridiculous.
It's brilliant watching the replay. His little hops at the end. I think even he was confused at what he was going to play till the last minute, and then he played it perfectly. McCarthy comes in again. This is a good ball, but it's steered down to third man by Phillips, and that goes for 4. That was a good back of the length ball. It had decent pace on it, but in the end, Phillips rode it, and there's no third man out, and so he's picked up a boundary.
Yeah, nearly 139 kph that delivery. He's nicked that. No control on that whatsoever. Who'd be a bowler?
Yeah. He sort of rode it a little bit. He realised it was getting big on him, but with no one out there, he's got away with that. It was excellent bowling. And another boundary for McCarthy, who's bowled a couple of good overs here, but he's now going for a lot of runs in the middle of that. And this one is turned on the leg side, and you hear Phillips say 2. And it comes back good fielding in the outfield, but that was always in the gap, and Delaney couldn't stop that. We might see him bowl in a moment. 95 for 2 New Zealand, and again they're rolling a little bit here. This over's been quite profitable. I don't think McCarthy's bowled a bad over though.
Yeah, they've found a way of scoring off him. That's the thing, that even that 2 into the gap.
You've had the scoop, which was a good ball. You've had the edge, and now you've had that 2. There's a lot of runs that have come from this over, but this is certainly one of his better overs.
I'm sure he'd be pleased to hear that.
I mean, you know, this is why sometimes when they made me analyst, they wouldn't let me talk to players. I'd go up and go, no, you bowled really well. Mate, I went for right. Yeah, but you bowled well. I don't want to hear it. McCarthy comes in short. Oh, so short. That's gone over Lorca Tucker's head. Phillips just got down and didn't even worry about it and suddenly realised that had gone for 4 wides. So 5 wides, in fact. It was angled down the leg side as well. That just got away from McCarthy. That's what you're talking about, this, you know, being consistent, isn't it?
Yeah, just ill-directed, and Tucker just does not look very happy at his bowl at the moment. He's shaking his head because he couldn't get. Well, he got a palm on it, in fact. But
I think he might be upset at himself there. He should have stopped that, looking at that replay. I think it might just feel like he got enough hand on that. He probably should have at least slowed it down. But it was very short and quite wide down the leg side. Slow ball, outside leg stump. He's got away with this as well, as this is just flicked out to the sweeper, Harry Tector. And they take 1, and Barry McCarthy very happy to leave the crease after that over. 37 for 3 he's gone for. That was a very expensive over from considering he's bowling in the middle overs and he didn't bowl that bad. 101 for 2 at New Zealand here on TalkSport 2 with Jared Kimber and Kath Dalton. Remember that you can listen to the Cricket Collective, a dedicated cricket show, which is on every Tuesday evening on TalkSport 2 with Neil Manthorpe and Steve Harmison as they review the week's biggest stories. And then if you missed it, and you shouldn't miss it, obviously, Kath, but if you do miss it, you can go and listen to it on the podcast feed, the following on. Many great cricket podcasts out there, though, if you want to look for any other cricket podcast. But the following on's one of the better ones, I'd say.
Are you trying to plug something?
No, not at all. I wouldn't tell anyone to look up Jared Kimber and podcasts. That would be unprofessional while I'm here on TalkSport 2, working for them. Bowling change again. I thought we might see Gareth Delaney bowl a couple of overs to leg spin, or they might have gone back to Dockrell. But instead, we've got the 3rd over of Josh Little. Now, considering that New Zealand are 101 for 2 after 12, Josh Little's gone 1 for 8 in 2 so far and has bowled magnificently well. He's got a bunch of fielders out on the leg side, 3 sweepers out there. Comes in again, hits the pitch hard just around middle and off stump, and is pushed on the offside, and they take 1. Does Paul Stanley give up an overthrow almost there? It's a wild throw, not particularly good backing up either, but they've just gone through for the 1. Oh, did they not? Yeah, they did take 1 there, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
I think this is smart cricket, though, by Ireland. You need to break a partnership up. You have to bring on your premier bowler, your best bowler on the day, and that is just Josh Little.
I'm with you, but they now don't have him for the death as much. They only have 1 over from him from the death. So maybe that was the plan coming in. But they're clearly attacking, which is good. Slow ball on a length and is whacked out to deep mid-wicket. George Dockrell fields, and they just come back for a single there.
I still think you bring them on. It's a risk, of course, because obviously he's not going to have that over at the death, but when they're 103 for 2, wickets in hand, you have to get a wicket here. Just to stem the flow of the runs and put a little bit of pressure back on New Zealand. So
they go at 10s from here. They're looking at 180. 8 wickets in hand. Phillips hasn't even got started yet, and he can absolutely go. And he has. He's pulled this out for 6 again into the trees at Stormont. I think that might have been the slower ball, was it? And he might have just picked that up, and it was on a good length, and he just whacked it over deep mid-wicket for 6.
Yeah, great shot. Went deep in his crease to just create a little bit of room. Cleared his left leg. Front foot ball. Fantastic shot. Great hand speed as well through the back of that ball. That has gone all the way.
The way he decided to play that late, I thought it was a slow ball. But looking at that again, that just looks like seam up. He just had so much time on that.
He did, yeah. Sometimes when you go back in your crease as well, you obviously give yourself a little bit more time to hit it. It's a powerful shot, and they're finding it difficult to find the ball at the moment.
I thought the ball hit the square leg umpire's camera for the run out and went sideways. It's a little bit like a computer game. You know, you're playing cricket or golf on a computer and it hits something and wanked sideways. I thought it hit something and veered off. I don't think it went all the way into... I originally said it went into the bushes, but I know they are looking into bushes as well. But I don't think it went the angle they think it went. So we've got a bit of a break in play here as Josh Little and Mark Adera talking. Marquez bowled 2 overs so far. Is that right, Kath?
That is correct.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think I would have brought him back on because I think he's as good as a strike bowler as Josh Little is. But I think Josh Little might be slightly better off at the death. But they obviously decided to go with Little. I mean, Little and Adair should make a great partnership going into the future for Ireland. We found, I'm going to say a ball. I'm hoping it's the ball, but it could be anything. Partnership is 39 of 22. Phillips is now 22 of 13 after pumping that last one for 6. He gets an edge here, and I think that's short. Craig Young doesn't even appeal for that. He tries to flick this on the offside, gets the toe of the bat, and it just lands short of short third man, which is Craig Young. And again, Phillips gets the outside part of the bat, and again, he gets lucky.
Yeah, a little bit of luck through his hands outside, off stump there to that delivery. He has fallen short of Craig Young.
Craig Young got a bit stuck in the turf himself, I think, there.
Looks like he's got a sore knee now, doesn't he?
Yeah. There was certainly a scab or blood or something has happened off his knee there, but he picked it up, but I think by the time he got his feet set, he couldn't come forward. I'm not sure he would have reached it anyway. Little again hits the bat so hard with that left arm seam, and they take a single to backward point as Phillips opens to face. 110 for 2 as Phillips moves to 23. Cleaver's on 31. Little has gone for third over. So the wicket that Ireland were looking for with Andy Balbirnie's risk has not come so far in this over.
Not yet. Still one ball left.
Kath Dalton leads for that last wicket.
Keeping positivity alive.
Yeah. Some between Ireland team, and this is a good ball from Josh Little. And Cleaver then looked all over the place. He ended up from leg stump pushing it to mid-off and scampering through for a single. But I wonder if he was going to scoop that because he moved his feet. He does move around the wicket a lot. Anyway, TalkSport 2, Jared Kipper, Kath Dalton, 111 for 2 after 13 overs. Reminder that we'll bring you more of Ireland's home fixtures this summer with their upcoming white ball series against South Africa here on TalkSport 2. Of Ireland, of England A, of West Ham, of Tottenham. Have I got them all right?
You have actually.
I should have written them down.
It's been on my wiki page.
Partnership is 41 from 25. Both players, it's really Guptill that is the only one who struggled to get the ball away on this wicket, but he did have probably his worst matchups. He had left arm seam and finger spin, neither of which he likes. McCarthy's gone for 12 runs and over from his 3 overs so far. Young has also had a bit of tap, although most of his was in his first over. You see George Dockrell come back on.
Ireland's leading wicket taker is George Dockrell.
And yet he's a batter now.
Yes. Imagine if he actually did bowl, how many more wickets he would have taken.
I remember, I think in one-day internationals, I think the third leading wicket taker for Sri Lanka is Sanis Jayasuriya. This is outside of stump and punched out to deep point. And they're going to think of 2 as Curtis Caps comes around and Cleaver easily picks up 2. Just because Sanis Jayasuriya played about a million one days, and even though he didn't always bowl his overs, he chipped in for the odd wicket. So you do get anomalies like this, but Dockrell certainly started as a specialist bowler before becoming a batter, and now he's almost back to being an all-rounder again. He doesn't bowl his full allocation that much in one-day cricket, but he chips in a little bit. And and T20s, he seems to be bowling again. I should say that Glenn Phillips doesn't particularly like left-arm finger spin. It's probably what he's weakest against. He doesn't like finger spin in general. But it's a full ball outside of stump that Cleaver tries to launch this over cover or mid-off, and he ends up getting the outside part of the bat, and Craig Young again is in the action as this just loops over his head. It's not often when you face a left-arm finger spinner that you get an edge that goes over short third man's head.
Yeah, Cleaver moved outside the off stump and Dockrell followed him.
It's quick, wasn't it?
Yeah, he just thought, I'm going to throw my hands through this, and you get lucky, I think, in T20 cricket. Short third, in the ring, throw your hands at it, it's 4.
38 to 28, he comes down the wicket. Jeez, he's got good footwork. He came down the wicket, beaten there, and there's a fumble out at cover, and they're going to come back for 2. He was beaten in the flight and sort of just either with his hands or his footwork managed to get back into a good position and struck that beautifully.
Something I noticed earlier on was Cleaver was struggling at the start of his innings, and he started to use his feet even a little bit to the seamers coming down the wicket, just a little bit, not a lot, and it's changed his game.
He faces up to Dockrell again. This should be out stumped, and it is not. Lorcan Tucker did the batter and the stump, so just between the outside leg stump, but he got a good side at that Lorcan Tucker, and he has missed a stumping, and that is very, very disappointing for George Dockrell. He just came up too early, I think, for mine there, Lorcan Tucker.
Just as I was praising Cleaver for using his feet, he has a massive swing at this, completely misses it.
Faster ball from Dockrell, and he mistimes a pull shot out to the sweeper, and they're going to take a couple as Harry Tector comes around. And so I think they brought Dockrell on partly to bowl to Phillips, and so far we've had 2, 4, 2.2, and he hasn't bowled a single ball to Phillips, but he should have dismissed Cleaver with that stumping. And it was a big one. I mean, I said a minute ago he used his feet well. This time he came down the wicket and then ended up just slogging across the line. He's done it again, and Dockrell, clever, goes for the leg side stumping. Unfortunately, it's a direct hit. It's short fine leg. I think he's in though. Unfortunately, gets a little bit of a leg, his legs inside this, and Josh Little is appealing for that. They're going to go up, but I think he's got in. But as Cleaver came down to hit it, he stuck his leg out, and they're just going to go through for the one. But we're just going to have a quick look at the run out. You were a bit more excited than I was.
The umpire to director.
I don't know, I just had a sense that he wasn't
for a run out.
aware.
Can we have your best side angle, please?
I think you're right. I wasn't aware, but I think he still got in, did Glenn Phillips. As he quite often is, he's in conversations with about 7 different people here. And just having a look, I tell you what, he was it's about a foot and a half rounded. He's in. Good fielding from Josh Little.
I think because he was strolling more than anything else. He wasn't sprinting to get back.
Into the 14th over, 122 for 2, as that's not out. Phillips 23 of 15, Cleaver 42 of 32. Dockrell's gone for 20 in his 3 overs with the 2 right-handers out there. Oh, he was strolling, but on top of that, he also ran into George Dockrell. So he massively slowed himself down twice there. So if Phillips had been run out, it would have been completely his fault. It looks like Young's coming back on. 2 right-handers. They might have tried to squeeze an over of Delaney's inconsistent leg spin, but it's spinning away from the batters, but they haven't. They've gone back to Young.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that as well. Particularly at this stage, it might not have been a bad idea to give him the ball.
This is a good ball at leg stump. There was appeal for it. It was a length ball. He tried to whip it across the line, did Cleaver. I think that if I was Lorcan Tucker, I might have appealed slightly stronger for that, but they've ended up taking a leg bye out to point.
They've set themselves up here really well, though, New Zealand, with wickets in hand as well at the back end of a T20. If you've got a lot of wickets in hand, you just have a little bit more freedom in your mind to go for it. It's a good partnership here between these two, Phillips and Cleaver.
I think if I'm a bowler and my wicketkeeper doesn't go up for that LB, it wasn't out. It wouldn't have been out. But if he doesn't even go up for the straight ones when they hit the pads, I think I would be having a little, especially with the senior bowler to the younger wicketkeeper, of like, I know you didn't think it was out, mate, but put your arm up and make a noise. Young definitely appealed for that on his own. He comes in again, gives himself some room, does Glenn Phillips, and that room is taken up by Craig Young's length ball, which takes middle stump out. He's castled him. Phillips just tried to slap this over deep mid-wicket and has been clean bowled by Young.
Is there a better sight for a fast bowler than a stump coming out and tumbling?
Jeez, he went through that quickly, didn't he? I think that was the cross seam ball. May have held up a little bit. It was a good view, but it was also a great sound. He made a very clean hit on the stump. Did you notice?
Yeah, it was a lovely sound off the stumps.
It wasn't quite Simon Jones to Michael Clark, but it was in that oeuvre of soundtracks of cricket. Glenn Phillips is gone. Daryl Mitchell has come out to bat, but Young will be happy. He'd been hit in that first over. I thought his second over was fine, but he'll be happy to see the back of Phillips there. Mitchell, obviously a very, very good player as well. He was their opener in the World Cup, of course. And we're just having trouble here because Craig Young has completely destroyed the stump. He's taken it out the ground, and we've now got the technician and the umpire. You can just hear them patting the stump mic to try and get it back in.
He's always nervous when they come out with a hammer to fix something.
This is where you need Neil Wagner. He loves coming out with that. So, good ball by Craig Young, but it was a length delivery at the top of his stumps. I think if Phillip stays in his position, probably can just hit that straight, but he's gone for the leg side boundary, and unfortunately he's lost his middle stump I reckon that's got about 4 metres back, Kath.
Yeah, and he also stepped wider than the wide line, so his left foot was quite wide, and he just found it difficult to reach it in the end.
But it is Daryl Mitchell who's come out, the star of the England summer, really, could not stop making runs. He's got long on and comes up into the circle, long off and long on, in fact. So they're protecting those square boundaries. I think those square boundary on the leg side must be short, which is probably another reason that Glenn Phillips was looking for it. As Young comes into Mitchell again. It's short, it's outside of stump. He goes for a pull shot. He looks for the wide. He doesn't get it. What do you think? That was close to a wide.
It looked close, but I quite like a bouncer, so good aggression from Young. Oh, that was a wide, wasn't it? It was close.
We've got a lot of right-handers in this lineup for New Zealand. Just tinkering with the field. So long on went out, and then long on's come back in straight away. As Young is going to go, I guess, into the wicket again. He does, and this is pushed to mid-on, who's up in the circle, but Young can't stop it, and they go through for one.
Yeah, good field change in the end. If you're going to bowl it into the pitch, you can bring your mid-on up, but you have to bowl into the pitch. You can't bowl full with mid-on up in the circle.
Just having a look at some of the stats from Intelligent Cricket, they sent us through some. So again, I think if they can spin the ball away from Mitchell, it might be an option for them towards the end. But they've got a lot of seamers left to bowl as well. And he follows him, Cleaver, who tries to flick this on the leg side. He gets a leading edge, almost out to deep cover as that loops up. A couple of times we've seen when you follow Cleaver, when he uses his feet, he gets himself a little bit lost, as apparently the police are on their way, Kat.
They're coming to get him. Yeah, just use his feet there again, but got a little bit stuck when it was bowled a little bit more at him, and it would have gone straight to cover had cover been in the ring, but obviously cover out at this stage.
Okay, so 125 for 3. This is the last ball, the 15th over. Mitchell's on 1. Cleaver's partnering in the 43. Mitchell faces up again. He gets a little bit on this, and it's, I think it was off the hip, but I'm not sure if he got an inside edge as well. He followed him there, Young. It's been given 4 leg byes as it passes Lorcan Tucker, who was darting down the leg side, and another boundary. They've found a lot of runs in extras in this game so far. So here on TalkSport 2 after 15 overs, 129 for 3. Mitchell on 1. Cleaver on 43, and according to Intelligent Cricket's win predictor, New Zealand have a 75% chance from here. They could really put some hurt on Ireland, couldn't they?
75% chance of winning? Or?
Yeah.
All right, I see.
Of something.
75% chance for something.
16 extras, Cap.
Yeah, it's not great, is it?
So that would be, we've seen leg byes, 2 leg byes go for 4. We've seen the 5 wides, and maybe 1 or 2 other wides as well. As I think, Kathy, you're going to have a spell, and you're going to be replaced with Ian O'Brien. I think Jonathan Norman will replace me, and Mark Adair is coming back on to bowl himself. Take it away, Jonathan.
Thank you very much, Jarrett Kimber. Well, New Zealand 129 for 3. So if they go at 10s from here, they'll reach 179, which is kind of where past score was given at the start of the match, as Cleaver once again attempts that essentially revert. Well, Gav Dalton described it as getting the frying pan out and just flicking it over your shoulder. That's pancake day.
Pretty much, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Afternoon, John.
Afternoon, IOB.
It's quite a different sort of a feel to this. How then when we were on, it was dots and ones. It was Morse code, and it seems to be a little bit more intent now.
Yes, and Cleaver, it's been an unusual innings. It's been a bit of an ugly innings. This is a slow delivery, and exactly as I say, an ugly shot really, just about clears of field inside the circle at mid-off, and runs away for 4. So Cleaver moves to 47 from 36 deliveries, and I suppose not how you get him, it's what you do when you're out there. And after a very, very sticky start, he's approaching 50 and just his second at T20 for New Zealand.
And really raced through with that strike rate. He was 3 off 7, 3 off 8, and it was really languishing at sub 50.
Bouncer from Adair. Now
he's
Cleaver's
a submarine
on the floor. Not so much because of the fierce nature of this short ball from Adair. It's not going at Michael Holding's speed, but essentially I think that Cleaver was caught in 2 minds there. He realised that the angle of the bouncer was going so far down the leg side, all he had to do was help the ball on its way and it would have gone to the boundary. But by that point, he got himself in all manner of a mess and has ended up on his backside. He's on his back.
Yeah, it's a combination of Spriggs gripping and Spriggs not gripping. Interesting marker there, not bowling the 18th here.
Down the track, inside edge. That again could have gone anywhere. Just squirts out onto the leg side behind the stumps. It's fielded by the keeper, who's had a difficult day himself, Tucker. He let 5 wides through on another day. Certainly would have prevented the ball from going to the boundary. He's missed a relatively straightforward stumping. He was unsighted. The ball possibly kept a little low. Cleaver was well down the track.
He didn't look to tidy up either, the stumping. That was the awkward bit. He sort of, I've missed it, and then just kind of froze and did nothing after that. That was awkward.
Adair in again. This keeps low. Mitchell pulls quite magnificently. Backward a square on the leg side and away for 4. He moves to 5. Yeah, there was that kind of moment, wasn't there, between batter and keeper, where essentially the batter realises he's out. He's never going to get back. He's never going to get back, and he's about to be stumped, and then look back and realise that the ball hadn't been taken cleanly. And there's that millisecond, isn't there, between keeper and batter, where they both kind of almost look at each other. Are you going to get the ball?
Shouldn't you be?
Yeah.
And shouldn't I be? And,
which one of us is going to move first?
And as a keeper, your job is to just dig around in the dirt and do your best to do that. And he just froze.
Full and play back to the bowler Adair by Mitchell. Fielded, so no run, and that's at the end of the over. So 16 gone. New Zealand 138 for 3 with Mitchell 5 and Cleaver 48.
I just mentioned Adair bowled the 18th and the 20th in the previous ODI, T20, I should say. The 18th went for 14 or 15, and the 20th didn't go better for him. Getting him in and into the his 3rd over, getting that out of the way earlier, so that he only has 1 left in this last 4 overs. New Zealand got themselves into a good position. Cleaver, still a batsman of two different. They both shape up. They both set up the same, but there's two different guys playing out there. The guy that hits the ball cleanly, and then there's the guy that sort of doesn't actually look like he knows how to bat. But he's turned this into a very good innings, and the shape that Phillips did in the first one. Phillips is 69 off 52, got New Zealand through to a winning target, and Cleaver's doing that similar job here. It's good to see Phillips score some more runs again. Another partnership through the middle.
Well, there was an interesting moment involving Phillips, wasn't there? Because it was almost run out after a collision with the bowler, George Dockrell, and it reminded me of that very famous moment back in 2008, New Zealand and England.
I was in Montreal. There you go.
You're in Montreal, so you weren't part of that you weren't part of that New Zealand squad?
I played the
Must have been around the time.
I played the test match. I played the 3 test series. I played the 2nd and 3rd test, and then wasn't part of the 1 day.
So you headed off.
So I went and had 4 weeks in Canada with my now wife, and go on, talk us through the Oval moment.
Well, I was just wondering whether you were in the dressing room, because
I've
never seen Daniel Vettori as angry as he was that day. That's for sure. I mean, you might have, but
no, never ever have I seen him like that. And it gets played on TV quite quite a bit over here, and every time I see it, I send Dan a message and I say, I've just seen that again. He's still embarrassed. Like
McCarthy, first ball of his fourth. Cleaver has picked this up and smashed it into the advertising hoarding. Just for a second, the fielder at mid-wicket, it was an extraordinary dive, but I think that even Curtis Campher, the most positive man in world cricket, knew that he was putting off that manoeuvre for the cameras. A raise at the bat for Cleaver. He's gone past at 50. You predicted that after his first 6 balls, but hey, he's stuck around and he's making it count. 144 for 3.
I don't care who you are, but you can't bowl a slower ball on leg stump, half volley to anybody, no matter what kind of form. And Cleaver has put some beauties away, and he's missed some awkward ones. A wonderful little sort of celebration between Mitchell and Cleaver. Mitchell really sort of enjoying it with him.
Full again on the pad, clipped away nicely by Cleaver, who surprisingly doesn't come back for a second. I thought there was 2 there. Misfield as well, but Mitchell will take the third ball of the over. McCarthy's been expensive, actually.
It was cool seeing Mitchell sort of over-celebrate that with Cleaver, almost as if Cleaver was slightly sort of too embarrassed to celebrate it. But Mitchell was like, "Nah, mate, we're celebrating this. You've just done something you've never done before in front of your family as well. Let's make a little moment of this, because you've got to make moments of things like that, little memories. They keep you going through the dark days too."
Yeah, well said, mate, well said. They would all love to do it as well. Full again by McCarthy. On the drive is Mitchell. This squirts out to square leg. 1 run, 146 for 3. So Dan Vittori, going back to that point, he's still.
Every time I see it, I say, "Oh, they've just replayed that again, Dan." And he goes, "Oh," and pretty much stocks down. Still embarrassed. Yeah, the whole of the New Zealand, well, basically all of the New Zealand change room out on the stairs at the Oval, pointing and gesticulating. I think that's the right word, across to the opposite balcony. Oh, that was a spicy one, wasn't it?
It was. Down the leg side, Cleaver moves to the off. That ball was there to be spanked. Just a little bit of a deflection off of his waist, I think, Cleaver. This might be called leg buys. The batter's come through for 1, so McCarthy getting away with 1 there. 45 runs from his 3.3 overs. Yeah, one of my defining moments from that game was the umpire. I can't remember who it was. Was it Ian Gould?
Ian Gould, yep, putting his arms
around Paul Collingwood and just saying, "Mate, are you sure you're gonna? Sure you don't want to withdraw that appeal for a run out?" McCarthy full dug out by Cleaver, and Mitchell rather. And Mitchell sends Cleaver back, and Cleaver Jr. has just woken up. He's just missed his dad go past 50, playing for his country.
Imagine like looking back and you go, "That's me sitting on a balcony in Belfast watching my dad." Man, see, I think that players having kids while they're still players, I think that's kind of cool. And I wish I would love to have kids earlier, sooner. But we're talking about the Ryan side bottom Grant Elliott collision, aren't we?
That's right. Last ball of the 17th over. Cleaver's in. It might be about to come to a close. No, again, top edge, but bounces well short of fine leg, and Mitchell sent back as well. Otherwise, he would have been run out. And that really, in a nutshell, is kind of summing up, in a weird way, Cleaver's innings so far. There's been some beautiful shot play, but also some very fortunate moments. Missed stumping earlier on the piece. A couple of miscued shots that have just dropped short of fielders, but he's still there from 43 deliveries. New Zealand 3 overs remaining in the 20, 149 for 3.
See, is it Barry McCarthy just finished 4 overs for 49, was it? 48 or 49? I think his first over went for a couple. Second over was dots once. Sort of one of those games where your overs are either clean or they're filthy. It doesn't seem to be a lot of overs that are going for sort of 6 and 8 where you're just accumulating. They're either sort of 3 or they're going for double figures because you've missed a couple of deliveries.
Apart from Finn Allen, there's been no fluency from the batters or the bowlers in this match.
When Cleaver's looked fluent, he's been fluent, but then there's been little in between. But Finn looked, I absolutely agree, Finn looked like it was a glass top. that he had been training on for 3 weeks.
In an era of big hitting, Finn Allen, actually, there's a big buzz around him in New Zealand, isn't there? And has been for a couple of years. I caught a couple of his Super Smash innings, and he goes from the outset. Great pick up and pull from Cleaver. He does like it. Straight on the body, of good length, and he swivels and pulls that away for 6.
Can you remember when we were on and he sort of gave himself some room, and then there was one about sort of hip height, and he made an awkwardness of pushing it to cover. It was about hip and into his hip, and I said that was kind of the shot that he should have played, and he did it 2 overs later, and he's done it again here. I'm still confused by how it happened, how he missed out earlier in the innings, but lovely shot, good clean hit.
Yeah, Luke Wright on the sidelines applauding that one, the kind of shot that we would have seen Luke Wright hit when he was playing, and he does still play. Swing and a miss this time from Cleaver, a bit of swing, I think, from Young. But yeah, 155 for 3.
It's probably up the 50s, 35, 36, 32. So it hasn't really changed, although this last 50 feels like the quickest. It feels like the quickest 50. The first one, sure, the first one was quick with Finn going nicely. That second one was 36, only 3 balls more. That felt like an age, that second one, but it was only three, sort of half an over.
Young in, and once again Cleaver attempts the pancake, and for the second time in a row fails to connect with the ball that just travels over off stump and goes through to the keeper. I mean, that was there to be smashed into mid-wicket or to square leg. That's the strange thing with that shot, and he looks awful when he misses as well.
And there's a thing, he has got it away, and he has done it quite well during the innings, but then he's just dished him up the same as what he just hit over mid-wicket there.
Bouncer, and down on one knee is Cleaver, who goes for an extravagant pull shot, but again, the innings progresses.
We're back to that, the awkward Cleaver, 6 and then 3 dots. We're back to a guy that's maybe overthinking it, as opposed to just see ball, hit ball.
Yeah, I thought he seemed nervous, to be honest, in that first over or two, and now I think he is overthinking things again.
It's saying overthinking, it still means you've got to find gaps in the park and shift the fielders around.
Back and pulls does Cleaver out to mid-wicket and comes through for the second. Mitchell ran that first one very, very hard. He knew he'll be running back to the danger zone. Keeps Cleaver on strike. 1 ball left to the 18th, and Cleaver's 66 from 48. Again, no real timing from that shot.
Slow ball, just stick a little bit, stayed a little bit low, so toe of the bat.
Last ball of the over as Cleaver moves across to the offside and lofts this drive towards long off for a single. That brings it to an end, an all or nothing kind of over. 6 from the first ball, 3 dot balls, 2 and then 1. 158 for 3 and 170, 180 still on the cards for New Zealand.
You're bowling near the death. New Zealand, the opposition are 3 down, so there's 7 in hand. You go for a 6 off your first delivery, and you get out of the over for only going for 9. That is a massive win for Young there, finishing his 4 overs with 2 for 34. Getting out of that for just 9. 3 dots, a 2 and a 1. That's just the cliche of Cleaver today. A real dichotomy of dots and dashes.
Well, we're in a very similar territory to where we were with that first T20, aren't we? Where Ireland had a grip of the game. I'm not saying they've quite got the same kind of grip today, but it was the last over or 2 that cost them. They'll be absolutely desperate for that not to happen again today. And New Zealand, won the first T20 by 31 runs. It seemed quite comfortable, but they were 154 for 8 at the start of the 20th over. Here we are, 158 for 3, and they went on to score 173 in that first T20. Ireland cannot afford for the same thing to happen here, otherwise Ireland are going to be facing 190, which on this pitch I'd say is going to prove to be particularly difficult. Little back and wide, full and carved up and over a backward point for a boundary. So that's the start to the over. that Little and Ireland didn't want. Cleaver moves to 71.
That's terrible bowling. That cannot be any part of the plan. Full and wide with third man up. That's a massive miss, or someone's got their fielding so badly wrong. But nicely played. Just let it slice off the face of the bat. And I think that's a really easy shot for anyone. When you know third man's up and you get full and wide, you just let the bottom hand unwind, and it doesn't matter how you hit it. It's going to beat the fielder along the ground, or it's going to be unlucky if you do hit the fielder.
Pressure on the bowler, Little. On the pull this time is Cleaver, and fielded on the bounce at square leg. So this time the bowler is bowling to his field, but the run scoring, or rather the runs that continue, 163 for 3. Now Mitchell's on strike.
Well, gets the guy off strike that you wanted to, and I think that's slow ball with the protection out on the onside. That's all you want to do at this stage of the game. Get the guy that has had a little bit more of the time on strike. Mitchell didn't go well in the first T20.
Mitchell goes better on this occasion, helps this ball up and over the fielder inside the circle. That short, fine leg, and as soon as he does that, you know the rest. 167 for 3.
This is the awkward 19th, well, it was the 18th over to Zoom
yes,
again.
it does, isn't it?
With all the ambulances going around the largest roundabout in the world, Southern Hemisphere or something.
And is it just me, or do the drivers around the basin know that they're on radio, so they always beat their horns so they can be on the radio? Fuller and driven down the ground by Mitchell, and fielded. That's a poor bit of fielding by Mark Adair. So it should have been comfortably cut off, but instead overran it and got a hand to the ball, but couldn't prevent the ball from slapping onto the boundary. So this is getting painful for Ireland. Another 4 going to the score.
That's just a little bit yuck from Mark Adair. He's tried to pick it up, but really in that situation, because he's coming around from long on is right there. The only job you do there is make sure that you go down with 2 palms like a goalkeeper and just keep it in front of you. You don't have to pick it up clean. You don't have to get it in your hands. All you have to do is just palm it off. Keep it in front of you. But you should have just pushed it towards the mid-on, the long on who was coming around. Slipped through for 4.
And Josh Little's figures are taking a bit of a pasting. Mitchell's beaten this time, though. 3 fours from the over, but there's a dot ball. 171 for 3. We've got 7 balls left of the innings. New Zealand eyeing 185 here.
This change of pace I do enjoy this change of pace by Little. The slow balls, I think, are just a fraction slow, but it does make his stock delivery, his seam up, when he gets both fingers behind the ball, does make that real slippery.
A move by Mitchell to the offside, goes for the hook. Top edge sails up into the sky and caught behind the stumps by Tucker. So a good comeback from Little, who picks up his 2nd wicket of the match. He's bowled well. Mitchell goes for 14. New Zealand lose their 4th, 171 for 4.
Just to go with his 4 in the first T20. Bowled very well. He has caused. Jared was talking about some of his power play bowling earlier. I think he's not a bad sort of all-round play. Does all right in the power play. I think he's pretty handy bowling coming back to pick up a wicket through the middle. It's the middle. Yeah, it's a wicket in the middle muddled up. And then I think his death bowling with his changes, his variations, when he gets them right. I think that when he changes up, goes up in pace, I think he's even better. And he's finished off a tough over nicely, although not the. Yeah, it was a free wicket in essence. Mitchell wasn't necessarily changing the scoreboard, and it does bring out Neesham, who was 29 off 16 in the first T20.
Well, Neesham was involved in that interesting moment in the Vitality Blast, where essentially to make sure he was on strike for the first ball of the last over of the 2020, went for a run and then essentially ran his partner out on purpose just to make sure he was on strike. But he did it brilliantly well as Cleaver, first ball of the last over, punches this full delivery from Adair up to Barry McCarthy, I think it is, running in at mid-off. So 1 run added to the score, and Neesham will face his first delivery of the innings. 172 for 4, New Zealand.
Yeah, up towards that, 173. So they're getting towards what's third highest score. So they'll probably overtake that and end up, it'll be third highest score again. But getting past what they have done before. Adair, some little ghosts in the closet here, bowling the last over of this T20. He doesn't have to back up an 18th here that didn't go so good. So he does have that little bit of weight off his shoulders. But he does know that his 20th over in the first T20 between these two here at the same ground, Storm, Belfast, gave New Zealand a big lead in terms of Ireland being able to chase down on a tough batting surface.
Adair's in, and a swing from Neesham, who almost looks surprised at the low bounce, I think, from the bowler.
Slow bounce, a real slow off cutter, and just a little bit of grip. That grip kicks a fraction, and the left-hander nowhere near. That is the to a left-hander. That's the ball that most right-handers go to. A little kicking sort of off spinner. If it bounces just a fraction, if you get just a little bit of top spin on it, typically you go over the edge or you go down to the third man boundary for 4. So again, I've said it before, I love having my third man very fine at the death.
Around the wicket, and this would be called a wide. Just I'm sure that was back of the hand, but essentially it just got the line wrong.
Well bowled. It was well bowled. Neesham went across his stumps fractionally, and then it was probably 4 inches outside that the guidelines. So you don't mind missing there. Giving away wide and missing in that area as a bowling group, that's a good miss. That makes sense because you're not about his arc.
Continuing round the wicket, short ball bouncer, and Neesham had all the time in the world, but can only pick out the field inside the circle at fine leg. Bounces just in front of Young, awkwardly. Fields though, and it's just a single. So good over from Adair so far, this final one of the 20. New Zealand 174 for 4, just.
Very good over, and again, just going back to that point, it's 20th over. Wasn't great 2 days ago. This one so far, very, very good.
3 balls left of the last over. Cleaver playing just his second T20 for New Zealand, unbeaten, 73 at this delivery. Ireland need to win this match to keep the series alive as Adair is in, and how do you describe this? Essentially, Cleaver moves 2 or 3 steps to the offside before the ball is delivered. Seeing him move, Adair fires the ball wider, but still within the tram lines. It's a slower delivery, and
French cricket.
At that point, the batter, Cleaver, decides to play, French cricket.
Too clever.
Push the ball into the offside. No run. That's pretty much what Cleaver should have done to the last delivery, is just maintain his body shape, maintain his position, and thrash his arms through the line of the ball. And the ball hits the bat, and flicks up and over the fielder, a backward point and away for 4. Easy game, Ian O'Brien.
I'm going to go full and wide with your third man up. You just can't. Doesn't matter if it's quick or if it's off speed. I just don't think you can go fullish and wideish with your third man up, because all you have to do as a batter, you just have to free your hands and let go of the bottom hand. It doesn't matter if you face it, you toe it, you edge it. You're pretty unlucky to hit the fielder.
Last ball full, dug out by Cleaver, fielded by Balbirnie at backward point, and that brings the innings to a close. 179 for 4, with Cleaver top scoring with 78 in his second ever T20 for New Zealand. Mark Adair's 4 overs going for just 28, and it's probably 10 runs more than Ireland would have wanted, but considering where New Zealand had been out on occasion, they just about will take it. But saying that, I think New Zealand will be quite happy with what they've got as well.
I think both teams will be reasonably happy. I think Ireland will be slightly happier at this stage than they were 2 days ago. I don't think New Zealand, I think they would have wanted a little bit more. The track is a little bit better. It's not a great batting track. It's not the easiest, but I think it is somewhat easier to bat on than it was 2 days ago. So only scoring sort of, 6 runs more. I think the pitch is sort of 10 or 12 runs more better, I should say, than it was. So I think Ireland will feel just that little bit more better as the two teams head into the sheds for a quick little bit of bite to eat and then back out in a couple of minutes' time.
At no point were Ireland on top of New Zealand in that innings, but rarely did New Zealand appear to be on top of Ireland at the same time.
Basically just Finn Allen. I think Finn, you can always take Martin Guptill out of that because Guptill was just at run a ball. I think only just, but that Finn Allen partnership at the top, 44 from 27. It's then from there that there is no real ascendancy. Partnership between Phillips and Cleaver eventually got New Zealand into a good position to attack at the end. But the attack at the end was undone by some good bowling, and I think again still not an easy pitch to bat on. Here's Dane Cleaver.
Let's hear what Dan Cleaver has to say.
I wish that was the case, but it was nice to get a few out of the middle today and hopefully get us to a competitive total.
Sure, just 5 of the first one, but what was the difference today between that first innings and today?
I think I just reviewed my option taking and I suppose gave myself a chance on the same wicket. So it's nice having that look last game, and sometimes it goes your way and sometimes it doesn't.
Okay, obviously your family are here as well. The young baby George, just 6 months old as well, so that must be double delight for you.
Yeah, no, I feel very lucky to have the opportunity to have my family over here, and they're loving Ireland, and it's been really special.
Sure, 179 for 4. Is that enough?
Yes.
Definitely. What kind of pitch are we playing on out there? It's obviously very defendable, you think?
Yeah, no, I think it's a good wicket, but I think it's shown the first game if you put the ball in the right area, and we've got some pretty skillful bowlers, so looking forward to the challenge.
Yeah, and a good total of 179, 170 odd the other day as well, so must be very happy the way things are going in these games so far.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good score, and the boys are enjoying their time and playing some good cricket, so no dramas.
Okay, no dramas. Good score, 78. Well done, Dane Cleaver.
Thank you very much.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love that. Okay, so that was Dane Cleaver, 78 not out. Played just his second T20, and he did it in front of his partner and his six-month-old child as well. So it doesn't get much better than that at the start of your career. Let's see if it turns out to be a match-winning innings, shall we? New Zealand have posted 179 for 4, and we will be bringing you Ireland's reply very shortly here in the second T20 of 3, live and exclusive on TalkSport 2.
Big hitting live 4x4 commentary as Ireland take on New Zealand in the second T20 International.
And he's nicked the next ball through to the keeper.
On TalkSport 2.
Make sure you kick off every Saturday and Sunday morning with Game Day Breakfast on TalkSport with the Sun. Join Natalie Sawyer and Tony Cascarino for all the latest news, essential previews, expert insight, exclusive interviews, and everything you need to make sure you're ahead of the game.
You better believe it!
Game Day Breakfast this Saturday morning from 6 on TalkSport with the Sun.
Oh, it's absolutely magnificent!
For all the match action and breaking news on the Sun Live blogs, visit thesun.co.uk.
Every day, all across the world, millions of people open up their homes to guests with Airbnb. And you could too, putting that place of yours to work and earning some useful extra income. But we know taking that first step can feel like a big deal. So we've taken a step to put your mind at ease. It's called Air Cover. It's top-to-bottom protection every time you host, giving you the confidence that your space and belongings are covered. Discover more at airbnb.com/aircoverforhosts.
Welcome back to Name That Engine Tune. 2 local garages are 1 question away from earning a place on the Green Flag Network. Final tune. Skipford Autos?
Shredded Sunbelt.
Bolton Breakdowns.
That's the sweet sound of a failing alternator.
Bolton Breakdowns takes the green flag.
Oh, brilliant!
Only first-rate rescuers get to join our local breakdown network. Only the best get the green flag.
Money Super 7, pay attention. Britain is feeling the pinch now more than ever. So what are we doing to help?
I could save people up to £300 on their car insurance.
Impressive, you are paying attention. Now let's keep finding more ways to help people. And together, we can save Britain some serious money.
Super Save with Money's Supermarket today. 51% of consumers can save up to £319.82. Consumer Intelligence, May 2022, UK only.
When I pick up meat for a barbecue from Co-op, I'm not just buying 100% British flavour pack kebabs and buffalo chicken wings. I'm also raising funds for
local projects like community fridges, a space where local people just like me can get together, share food and learn new skills.
Buying Co-op food raises funds that lift up your community. Co-op, it's what we do. Subject to availability. Participating stores. See in store for full barbecue range. 2p for every £1 spent by Co-op members on selected Co-op products. Goes to communities. T&Cs apply. Visit coop.co.uk/membership.
On DAB+, online, via the TalkSport app, and on your smart speaker.
Big-hitting live ball-by-ball commentary as Ireland take on New Zealand in the second T20 International.
It's smashed over towards...
In again, short again. This time Finn Allen gets a lot more of it, and that's in the trees. And that is caught in the crowd.
That was a lovely shot. Really great shot. Almost a check drive.
New Zealand go for 2.5 overs. Panic stations.
Panic stations for Barry McCarthy for sure, but not for Finn Allen. He looks in really good touch.
This is a flat bat shot back down the ground, and it is caught.
The other day in the first T20, this is now the 19th, but this is turning messy.
Mitchell to the offside. Top edge sails up into the sky and caught behind the stump. Last ball, full, dug out by Cleaver. And that brings the innings to a close. 100 for 4, with Cleaver top scoring with 78 in the second ever T20 for New Zealand. You're listening to live and exclusive coverage of the second T20 between Ireland and New Zealand. Following us this evening on TalkSport 2, we bring you live commentary of the World Match Play Darts at the Winter Gardens in Blackpool. Joining us live now, one of our team this evening, Paul Nicholson, to look ahead to the action.
Thank you very much. Yes, the Winter Gardens is pretty empty at the moment, but in around an hour and 15 minutes, things will be rocking here, and we will get cracking tonight with some brilliant action. We will conclude round 2, and it will be Daryl Gurney up against Danny Noppert first. Daryl Gurney in his first round match on Sunday afternoon took care of former champion Gary Anderson by 10 legs to 7. Noppert was comfortable winning the last 6 legs against Brendan Dolan in round 1. So they will meet in match number 1. But I think everybody's looking forward to the last match tonight, which is Michael Smith against Dirk van Duijvenbode. They both had really good tests in their first round, and that could be a brilliant crescendo to an evening that sees José de Sousa of Portugal take on former world champion and former match play champion Rob Cross. Gerwin Price and Dave Chisnell will also do battle tonight, which could be a brilliant game also. And the crowds this week have been incredibly respectful, and maybe tonight they'll be ready to just let the steam off a little bit of tension that we've seen in this tournament so far. Enjoy the cricket for the rest of the next hour and a half, and we will be joining you on TalkSport 2 from just around 7:15ish. But enjoy the cricket, and we'll see you when you conclude there, John.
Thanks a lot, Paul. We're going to be bringing you We're going to be bringing you dots throughout the evening. Kath Dalton, you like the arrows?
John,
you like a bit of Christmas darts, so it's July. That siren's still going. So darts in July, not your thing. Darts in December, absolutely. Bring it on.
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense.
It's the only time I get to watch the TV is at Christmas.
Is it?
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm out coaching or busy.
On the radio.
Yeah, you're making me busy now, John, as well.
Have you seen the Essex Surrey score, by the way?
I have not. Do I want to know?
Well, Essex were 70 off for 7 yesterday, and then they recovered to 200 50 all out. And then you had Surrey 117 for 7, and we've recovered to 290 for 9. Will Jacks has just hit Harmer for 4-6-6-6 in an over.
It's hard to
shoot balls. And hit him for 2 sixes before that as well. It was 123. So there you go. There's a little bit of a county championship update from one match.
Right. I wonder why that is.
Yeah, I wonder. Right, first ball of Ireland's innings. 180 the target. Mitchell Santner, slow left armour, to take the opening overs. We're going to see some spin, and Paul Stirling defends this first up. So this is an important match for Ireland. We have commentated, and I've loved doing so, on some real close matches. A little bit more air this time from Santner. Again, Stirling's happy to defend. We've seen them almost chase down 227, was it, against India in the second T20? Only to fall. 6 needed from the final ball, and they just fell short. Little shimmy to the leg side from Stirling. It was a double bluff. He has just deposited the ball over square leg for 6. And I suppose it's an obvious thing to say, but if Ireland are going to win today, they're going to be looking at the likes of Stirling about birdie to get them off to a good start, Kath Dalton.
Yeah, and that was a great shot to begin with from Paul Stirling. Just used his wrists, just strayed a little bit, well, long way actually, down leg side did Santner. Stirling was on it, pounced on that one, great shot.
Yeah, he's shaped to go down the leg sides. Santner kind of followed him, but Stirling was bluffing, and the ball has been lost, not for the first time today.
And I want to see Stirling be positive, because we've seen him play some different sort of innings recently. Obviously, he got 100 in the ODI, the last ODI, against New Zealand, but he hasn't played to the best of his ability just yet.
Well, yeah, I was talking about those close run things, and there was the Ireland T20, Ireland-India T20, which was an incredible spectacle. I mean, Ireland came so close to chasing down 226, just failed really for the final delivery of the match. And then that 3-match series which we brought to you, the ODI series against New Zealand, they lost the first one by a wicket, the second one by 3 wickets, and they lost by 1 run in the third ODI as Stirling defends on the front foot. They've come close. They just need to get that win. Otherwise, it will be a disappointing summer. And if they can get a result here today and take the series to the third one, Stirling down and slashes this past a diving mid-off fielder, Bracewell it is, who went two-handed as the ball whistled past him, but he couldn't get to anything on it, and the ball has reached the boundary. 10 without loss, and this first over of exploratory spin is not working for New Zealand. Lost the ball, and Stirling is happy to tuck this off his pads and away for a single. So he'll take strike for the start of the second over. Santner, as first over's gone for 11, and Ireland have got off to a decent start.
Yeah, from a New Zealand perspective, I'm surprised that they bowled Santner to Paul Stirling, who has struggled with the ball shaping back in to him against the seamers. I know Duffy's coming on in this over, but he has struggled with that. So to bowl Santner, that was almost a free hit for Stirling, but it's great to see him playing with a bit of aggression and playing with a lot of power in that over, and hopefully he can continue that from an Irish perspective.
We had 4 different bowlers for the first 4 overs when New Zealand were batting. I wonder if we're going to see something similar. Not sure we'll see Santner for a second over. We are going to see Duffy though. Again, not bags of experience playing international T20. This just his 6th match. He's taken 6 wickets and his first delivery is in. He's got a slip in place. And Stirling has broken his bat. Wasn't going for a big hit, just a clip really, and he's snapped his bat in half.
I did say he was hit with a lot of power today, but not necessarily on that shot. His bat is literally in half. He's holding his handle, but that's the only part of the bat that's left in his hand.
Well, the ball's hit the meat of the bat, essentially hit the sticker, and the bat's just split in half. Duffy must be bowling at 180 miles an hour. Just hasn't been picked up by the speed gun.
He's puffing his chest out now, going, "I just broke his bat," isn't he?
Have you ever broken a bat, Kath?
No, I've broken a stump.
In the locker room?
I've broken a stump and a bail. A bail is probably a little bit more pathetic, to be honest with you. I have it at home, would you believe, John?
Well, I haven't known you for long, Kath, but no, that doesn't surprise me.
What are you trying to say?
Was it in this some kind of homage to the Ashes? Is that what it was? Did you take the bail back home and burn it? Clipped away by Balbirnie. He's faced his first delivery now. 13 without loss. Ireland chasing 180. So tell us what happened.
No,
you were in on your long run up.
I was, yeah. I bowled quick, but not necessarily consistently, as my coaches like to say. But this one managed to hit the top of off stump, and I did break a bail. I was very young, so I was quite excited about it.
Duffy's in down the leg side, clipped away, beating the fielder inside the circle, and that'll be 4. 17 without loss. I tell you what, we missed on. I've missed on a point there. Now, Paul Sterling clipped that away, okay, to mid wicket. Fielder was there, comfortable run, but his bat split in 2, shy at the stumps. Now, you know, he's trying to run in, but of course he hasn't got a bat to run in with. He could have been run out because essentially he didn't have a bat that was long enough. Again to the leg side. This is played by Sterling. It moves to 17. 18 without loss. Had 10 deliveries so far.
He would have had to dive in.
That would have been ridiculous, though. Yeah. And what a way to get out.
Full length dive.
Full length dive, but because essentially your bat is a handle plus a couple of inches, you run out. How's your luck? I mean, it didn't happen, but it could have done.
It could have done.
This is on-off stump. Balbirnie is forward at no run. Some busy fielders running around there. 18 without loss. 1 ball left of the second.
I'm still visualising that, to be honest with you, John.
Did you smash the bail on the same day that you sent the stump cartwheeling out and broke the stump? Did it happen in the same delivery?
Not that consistent, unfortunately.
Last ball of Duffy's first over, and again Balbirnie, full respect, full face of the bat, defended back to the bowler. So 7 runs coming from that first Jacob Duffy over, and a good one as well.
Yeah, that was well bowled by Duffy in the end. A couple of loose deliveries, but the power play is so important. I've said this before, how important a power play is, particularly in the side that's chasing. If you can get off to a good start, you can really take the pressure off. With Delaney coming in at 3, who can power hit and go for it as well. But this is a good start by Ireland. And New Zealand, after the power play, are now racing ahead with 51 for 1. So if Ireland can get anywhere close to that, they'll be on track for this game.
The camera's just picked up the dark black shoes of Lockie Ferguson, and just for a second, with his black trousers, I had Darth Vader, Star Wars music in the background. There was a sense of foreboding. It's like, okay, you've had a little bit of slow left arm and some Jacob Duffy. It's Lockie Ferguson, 94 miles an hour. You've had your fun. Ferguson's in, full, driven. And it's Santner, I think, at extra cover, who fields on the bounce, 18 without loss.
And he bowled really well in the last T20. Did Lockie Ferguson.
Oh, he bowled well in the ODIs as well, didn't he? Especially that first one.
Ireland really struggled with his change-ups. They didn't pick his slower balls particularly well in the last T20.
Oh, here's Darth Vader. That doesn't actually make sense, but hey. Ferguson past the stumps and back of a length. Play to backward point by Sterling, no run.
Did you seriously just say, well, he is Darth Vader?
Yep. And
can't argue with that, can you?
No, partly because, as I say, didn't actually make sense. 180 is a target. We should have mentioned that with the dart, shouldn't we?
No.
Again, Sterling, back of a length. Good-looking shot for none.
Yeah, he brings a lot of pace to the game. Does old Darth Vader here?
Does. He's, he's out and out quality, isn't he? He's going to be a potent weapon when Australia, or when New Zealand get to Australia for the T20 World Cup. You've got Lockie Ferguson, Adam Milne, Tim Southey and Trent Bolt. As he's, this time, Sterling down to one knee and flazes through extra cover for four. Good looking shot. Just for a second, it was in the air. The fielder stationed at cover was interested, but by the time he thought he could catch it, it was probably about 10 foot from the boundary. So Sterling might have closed his eyes when he hit that shot. But Ireland moved to 22. 22 without loss, midway point of the third.
And I haven't seen Paul Sterling hit with that sort of power before today, so great shot.
Ferguson, and again, slow delivery, full toss actually on a stump. Surprises Sterling. Can only pick up Bracewell at mid-on. Missed out slightly there, the batter.
Yeah, he did, but he does look like he's got a different mindset. First T20, he was very defensive. He played a lot of defensive shots early on in his innings. This innings, he looks like he's going for it a lot more.
Short ball by Ferguson down the leg side. And this will be called a wide. So maybe that shot has just got into Ferguson's head a little bit. It was a beautiful drive from Paul Sterling. 21 from 14. This is slightly similar to how New Zealand started. Finn Allen, scored the bulk of the runs. 44 for 1. He was out for 35, and Guptill had only scored 3. Taken most of the strike, and we're seeing a similar situation here. As Sterling, one arm comes off the bat, and is it Santner running round from mid-off who takes the catch, and that brings to an end Sterling's 14-ball cameo. He goes to 21. Ferguson does take the wicket, and Ireland are 23 for 1.
Yeah, mistimed shot. Nice hold out to Santner there at mid-off in the ring. He'll be disappointed with that because he started to look good. Did Paul Sterling, hitting some great shots, particularly through the covers, with a lot of power. But with him gone, that will be disappointing from an Ireland perspective. But great breakthrough for New Zealand.
When you look through the New Zealand scorecard, apart from Guptill's innings, each of the batters went at a pretty good strike rate. Allen 35 from 20, Phillips 23 from 16, Mitchell 14 from 9. Less so perhaps Mitchell, but essentially that's all well and good, but that was based around Cleaver's 78. So it's all well and good, it's fine. Sterling didn't waste a lot of time, 21 from 15, and it's okay to have 3 or 4 batters doing that. So that's how T20 works. But Ireland, you feel, are going to need one person to get a decent score, 40 or 50, and the others can thrash around for shorter, more high-tempo innings. Balbirnie, the players did cross, so Balbirnie, again, no time. Oh no, they didn't cross. That was the last ball of the over. It was a mistimed drive back past the bowler for 1.
I suppose who is going to be that player for Ireland is going to stand up and get over 50?
Well, I suppose recent form would suggest that Tector is a man, he's in next. Oh no, Delaney's in now. Yeah, so Tector is in next. I mean, what form he's been in against India and New Zealand. Missed out in the first T20, but that was his first failure, for want of a much better word, in the entire summer that we've been bringing you here on TalkSport 2. Real talent. So maybe it is he. As Delaney about to face his first delivery, and he's knocked over. First ball, and it's Duffy that's just had one. Has just come in on the angle. Delaney has missed that. All ends up. And he's got to go for a first ball duck. 24 for 2 Ireland.
Yeah, that was really well bowled by Duffy. He kept his cool. He's hit a great area as well, just that top of off stump area, and that just nipped back a little bit on Delaney. Looks surprised. He was bowled actually in the last T20 in a similar way through the gate. Massively disappointed that Gareth Delaney goes his first ball.
And that just shows the problems, doesn't it? Because obviously once Sterling goes, and I know we've talked about Tector, and we've had lots of chat about Curtis Camphor as well, who's the next person in. There's so much importance on those first 2 wickets, which possibly is why Bo Burney is, he's still there, but he's not going to be going at the bowlers in much the same way. Disappointment, though, from Delaney, but it does bring to the crease Ireland's golden boy, really, Tector. 2 centuries against New Zealand in the ODI series, and scores against India as well. So he walks to the crease with the side in trouble, but he's in form.
He is in form, but at 22 years old, there's a lot of pressure on him to keep consistently performing. This is why it was so important for Paul Sterling really to get a big score today. He hasn't done so it does rely on Harry Tector again pulling Ireland out of a difficult situation and trying to get some runs on this board.
Has Duffy impressed you?
Yeah, I think he shaped the ball well. He's hit his areas pretty consistently.
Tector with an extravagant movement to the offside. There's a shot. The stumps at the striker's end. Balburney slow, possibly to be called through. And I wonder if the shot at the stumps from backward point, maybe Neesham would have run out the Ireland captain. And that would not have been the introduction to the game for Tector to run out the captain. I think he would have gone.
I think he was gone there. If that was a direct hit, I think he was gone. This is what pressure does to you. It does funny things to you.
25 for 2, Ireland chasing 180 here on TalkSport 2 as Duffy again, a length delivery outside off stump, cut on the up by Balburney, down to third for a single. He moves to 3, Tector 1 not out. Yeah, don't run out your captain.
Yeah, you don't want to be doing that. It's probably the worst person to run out is your captain. But he needs to stay in now and actually play a captain's knock here, Balburney as well.
Yeah, we're seeing a replay, and Balburney would have been dismissed by about half a foot. Tector readies himself down the track, already busy, plenty of movement, clipping the ball off his pads for another single, getting on with things. 27 for 2.
Yeah, that's something that Tector does so well, is when he's in form, as he has been this Irish summer so far, he uses his feet brilliant and attacks that top of off stump length, and that just forces the bowler to change. Then they can't bowl that length again because he's scoring off it.
Seeing a replay of the Delaney dismissal. On off stump again, Duffy probing away. This time, despite decent connection, there won't be a run. Would have been a suicide single to Guptill at short mid-wicket. So 4 overs gone. Ireland chasing 180, have lost 2 wickets. Sterling, after a 15 ball 21, ticking out Santner at mid-off, and Delaney being dismissed by Duffy. Clean bowl by a ball that went in with the angle. Means that Ireland's informed Tector is at the crease, 2 not out. The captain, Balburney, with Camphor and Dockrell to come. And Tucker as well, actually. So there is still some batting. No need to panic, but important that the next 2 overs of the power play.
Absolutely, with two fielders out of the circle, you have to maximise the power play.
Ferguson in for a second, and again hits that heavy leg first shot at the stumps of the non-strikers, and I think that Glenn Phillips has run out Harry Tector. We're going to have a look.
TV umpire to director.
But certainly the reaction of the batters and that of the fielders.
Side angle, please.
That Ireland have lost their 3rd wicket.
I think this is out, John. I really think this is out.
Well, the Tector's staying there. We're having a look.
Rolling, yeah.
And unfortunately,
and the beals are off. I've made my decision for the lights.
For Ireland, it's going to be a red light that flashes up. Red for danger, and that's certainly the case now. 27 for 3. Tector gone, and Ireland's hopes of winning this match and keeping the series alive, got to say, they're hanging by a thread.
They are certainly hanging by a thread, and that's just silly cricket by Ireland. You got to make sure you don't run out your partner, especially when you're 2 wickets down. That's just huge frustration for Harry Tector walking off, and an informed batter being run out. It doesn't really get any worse than that.
Well, you know, he'd had a warning because he'd nearly run out Balbirnie 3 balls ago. So maybe there's a lot going on out there, and it did seem like he was quite keen to get on with things. You know, he took 2 around the crease. He's obviously wanting to get on with, you know, getting his side into a position where they make use of the power play. But unfortunately, it hasn't worked for Harry Tector today, and a good bit of fielding from Phillips as well. So, Balbirnie to face as Ferguson is in, arrowing in on off stump again. This is played past Jimmy Neesham at point. Oh, it's just an outside edge, really. Raced away. Mitchell actually fielded it inside the boundary, but you can see how fast the ball is going off the bat when Ferguson is bowling.
Yeah, he actually used that pace quite well. Off Ferguson, and obviously his off-place deliveries are also very difficult to pick, so he's a serious bowler. It's Lockie Ferguson.
Short and fended by Balbirnie. Just take it a single. 30 for 3 then Ireland. And it's just no time, despite the quality of the opponent and the fact that they've lost 3 quick wickets. They've still got to try and rotate the strike, because this is well, we saw earlier when New Zealand were batting, it was a strange innings. At no point did batting ever appear to be particularly comfortable, did it? Campbell about to face his first delivery. This will be bowled again by Ferguson. Fired down the leg side for a wide, 31 for 3.
Yeah, and they didn't find it easy, New Zealand, to bat on this surface. Nor did they in the first T20 either. So Ireland have put themselves in a tricky position here. I think Paul Sterling probably played 1 too many aggressive shots, even though I praised him for being positive. And then a silly run out.
Ferguson, again, possibly beating Campher for pace there. Slapping the batter high up on the thigh pad. No run.
I think if Ireland are going to win these games, they have to have their main players step up and perform. They don't have the depth that New Zealand have. So if you're going to win a game of cricket, someone like Paul Sterling or Harry Tector is going to be the one that has to get the runs.
Short again, and Campher leans back. Was there to be hit, but the sheer pace and the bounce and the fact that Campher's so new to the crease means that he'll probably feel like he's missed out there.
Yeah, a lot of bounce actually on that delivery from Ferguson. I just really enjoy watching him bowl.
Yeah, I know. I kind of forgot to commentate for that final, that last delivery. On the pads this time, Campher's forward, and I think Ireland were probably quite relieved that over has come to an end. 5 overs in, Ferguson's bowled 2 of his allotted 4. He's gone for just 10 and picked up a wicket as well, and seen a run out halfway through that second over. Might be about to get a little bit of leg spin from Ish Sodhi to find out. There'll be a change in personnel here. Former Black Cap Ian O'Brien, and also TalkSport 2's very own Jarrod Kimber.
Yeah, interesting that they've gone with 2 overs from Lockie Ferguson. I think a lot of that might have been match-up as well, in that they had a couple of batters at the crease who don't particularly like the extra pace. Duffy comes in and Campher just helps this around the corner with the scoop. It was full and straight outside our stump. Camphor knew where it was going to be, and he gave it the little bit Doug Murillier scoop, and away it goes for 4.
Even Jared, I think the 2 overs from Ferguson, exactly that. The way that Ferguson bowls into that hip, and I think a few of the Irish batters, certainly in those 2 overs, could have got inside it for leg side wides. They're staying that leg side of it, they're hitting them.
Duffy back for length, and he just turns it on the leg side. Curtis Camphor, and he'll take 1. I think the run out is also from Lockie Ferguson in the way that basically he just pushed it on the offside and called yes. He hit it to the right-hand side of the fielder. I think they were trying to get off strike so they couldn't get worked over. And so you could say that Ferguson was involved in another wicket there.
Yeah, I got off strike with a 5 in a test match once. Similar sort of circumstance. It wasn't run out. The difference is I pushed it to cover and I got 5 because I didn't want to face.
Duffy, length ball outside our stump. Andy Balbirnie tries to help this over long off. Misses, goes through the keeper. No runs. Who is the bowler?
And I understand that. It may have been Anderson. It might have been side bottom. Can't remember.
When they were fast.
It was a long time ago now. It was yuck and I didn't want to face. But just, again, seeing the New Zealand bowlers angling into the Irish batsmen more so. We certainly saw that the Irish batsmen, you brought it up, bowling wider and angling into the New Zealand top order. With the indifferent bounce, it's not indifferent bounce, but it's not an easy bounce.
Yeah, it's not always consistent.
Cutting is hard.
Comes in again, and now Andy Balbirnie just, I don't know what this is. It's almost like someone was getting a sword out of their pocket. He just unsheaths a flick off his hip, and that goes out for 4. That was a beautiful looking shot, considering he was beating the ball before and 1 bounce for 4.
Now, if you want to get inside of it, and this is what sort of the point that I'm making, if you get inside of it, I think there's plenty of runs. Yeah, it's like a shovel scoop. A get off me shovel scoop, I think is probably, I don't want to be here, but get away from me. And got a good timing.
And this is out. Caught behind. He tries to launch this over long off again. And this time he gets a little feather through to the keeper and he is gone. And so another big wicket. Andy Balbirnie for 10. Trying to launch over cover, maybe long off, and he gets caught behind. And Ireland are in all sorts of problems here on TalkSport 2. 41 for 4.
Again, staying a long way leg side of it. The previous delivery, while he didn't necessarily get inside the line, he gave him this one here. It's a foot outside our stump. He's certainly not gone back and across. He's sort of got 2 little movements. Back foot goes back and the front foot sort of presses and does not want to get anywhere near in line of it. Duffy's not quick.
No.
I mean, he hasn't bowled particularly well in the ODI. He didn't bowl particularly well in the here, it's in his 3rd over. He has 2 for 20 and looks like a fast bowler and taking wickets like a fast bowler, but they're making him look a whole lot better than he's actually sort of bowled. It just feels that it's all or nothing today from Ireland because everything else hasn't worked so far. This is their 5th game and they've tried to play it long and see what they can do. And they've tried a couple of little fits and starts, sort of chasing run scores. But today, just like it's all or nothing, and we're going to get it in 15 overs, or we're going to be out in 12.
Well, you and I have both been in change rooms. You obviously a lot more than me. There is that point sometimes when you lose a few games in a row that you kind of throw it all out there, and that's kind of how it feels. New Zealand have a slip in place, in fact, as Lorcan gets the ball on off stump, walks across his stumps, flicks it at Ish Sodhi. He feels it so well at short fine leg that 5 people come over to tell him how great he is. 41 for 4 after 6 overs. He showed you like the awkward high 10 he gave as well, as if to go, yeah, I am great.
Oh, he feels at short fine leg for the same reason I feel at short fine leg. That is the hiding position in T20. I promise you. You go from short fine leg to short fine leg. It's not too far. You don't have to go from long off to long off, which is you don't have to run too far. But he's a fielder of my ilk. He's better than me. And that one there, he just had to get some meat on it and keep it in front of him, and he did so. And I think that was who was it that came across? It was Mark Chapman that came across with his big teethy smile. He's got a wonderful smile and gave him an awkward high 10. So Mark Chapman's on the park fielding for, I'm not sure who yet.
Yeah, I didn't see Chappie out there. So interesting that they've got him out. Mitchell Santner's coming back on now that the power play has finished. It's in a former New Zealand fast bowler. Fast medium?
I was, fast medium.
You actually flinched when I said fast bowler there. It's hard to tell because you were into the wind so much. What your actual pace was.
I got to bowl with it a little bit.
Santner comes in. It's down the leg side. There might have been a little bit of bat there as Camphor comes to push on the leg side, pops up, and Cleaver comes around to mop it off from behind the stumps.
Tucker's the one for me because keepers love getting in line and flicking it, and the other guys typically that don't mind getting hit.
Santner bowls full and straight, and Camphor hits straight back to him, and there is no run there.
And it was the first ball that he faced. He got inside line and flicked it down a short fine leg, and that was the one that we were just talking about with Sodhi doing a rather average piece of fielding, but celebrated because it was tough.
Oh, he gives himself some room to Santner. Camphor, he loves to launch over the offside, but he gets an inside edge back onto his pad, almost drags it on. Remember, you can get in touch with us at cricket_TS on Twitter or at TalkSport2.
When I say average piece of fielding, it was a good piece of fielding, but it was not the toughest piece of fielding. He did it well, but...
He's outside off stump, and he smashes this Camphor, but straight to the sweeper is Daryl Mitchell, and they'll just take one. Camphor moves to 7. Tucker hasn't scored off his one delivery so far.
So is Tucker a chance of getting up the order and facing the quicker bowlers? Because just from that one ball that I saw just there, he was happy getting back and across and getting inside the line to the quicks. Is that an option, possibility?
He faces this from Santner and pushes it back to the bowl for no run. I think long term they think he's a top order player. I just don't think they think he's ready at the moment.
35th T20 here. I mean, that's a bit.
Average isn't great.
Though? Average isn't great though.
He reverse sweeps here to Tucker, and Camphor goes through, steals a run. It actually went straight to the fielder, so they had to hustle there, but they just get through for a single. Yeah, I think long term they certainly see him as an option up the order. He's not young. He's 25. They don't think he's quite developed that they were hoping he would have. I think he's got quite a low average right across the board at the moment in professional cricket. But there's still a lot of hopes for him. There's no doubt about that.
It's that. I mean, he's had a real good series with the gloves up until today, and there's a couple of mistakes today that sort of the only time we've had an opportunity to talk about him as a keeper, and you never want to talk about keepers because it's only mistakes that you ever get to talk about. So he's had a real good series up until today. And it's just that he looks good. He looks like he fits. He's got that keeper sort of attitude, mentality with the bat. Doesn't, sort of, again, I've seen very little of, but just that he's got that typical keeper thing. I reckon he'd be handy at the top, getting inside and making bowlers' lives tough.
He's facing Ish Sodhi here, and he's missed it by 4 inches as Ian O'Brien talks him up on TalkSport 2. I'm Jared Kimber. It's a leg spinner from Ish Sodhi. Nice, slow, outside off stump, a bit of a tempter, and he's missed that by a considerable margin.
I reckon Ish to a right-hander starts with a googly 90% of the time, and that is a pretty big spinning leg spinner.
Nose flip in place. I think I'd be tempted if I was Santner at the moment, just to see if I could bring someone over. 43 for 4, reverse sweep, and he smacks this, but straight to Jimmy Neesham. Again, they run on the shot, I'm going to say here, because he hit that straight to the fielder and they take it on. Curtis Camphor just wants to get down there, and Tucker moves to 2. 44 for 4 after 7.2. Ireland well behind. Remember, the target's 180. New Zealand, bit of a patchy score, but ended up getting to a decent enough total after a very good start from Finn Allen. He showed it coming in again. The man who can remember almost every Test cricketer based on how many wickets they've taken. This ball is outside off stump, and I say outside off stump. Curtis Camphor's outside leg stump. He's probably cut this from off stump in the air in the end, but out to the sweeper Finn Allen, and he just gets a 1. Put some risk on that single.
It's almost that I still think that's the deliberate bad ball, short wide, can only really hit it to the sweeper out there. It just keeps the over quiet because the batter doesn't feel pressure hit a boundary, so they're happy just hitting a single.
Tucker facing again. Will he reverse? He does reverse, and it's the wrong length to sweep and ends up hitting him on the gloves and going absolutely nowhere. I felt like he was going to reverse before that ball. I think he showed he did as well and just pulled his legs back.
Do Ireland play Pakistan anytime soon? Or have they just recently? Because
Pakistan are playing Netherlands, aren't they?
Just going with the Zaman and Tucker with the bowler that would be quite a mouthful to get right. I think you're working out where I'm going with that one.
Ishodi comes in again, and he's out. He's out stumped. I think that is dribbled along off the inside edge or the bottom edge as he's tried to do the big slog sweep. It's dribbled back to the keeper, Cleaver, who has taken the bails off as Tucker has been confused. Is that what you saw?
It's gone back along his leg, and I think it's been given out stumped. Certainly the square leg umpire gave it out, but it's going to be given out caught. That'll be a change. The square leg umpire gave it out stumped, but it will be out caught as it's taken the edge, then hit the back pad on his right leg, popped up. Cleaver's taken the catch and then taken the bails off, so it will be changed.
He stumped Cleaver at the moment, but I think it will be caught. Cleaver. I don't know if they're going to have another look at that, but I think you're right. If he did get bat on it, which I originally thought he did, it certainly kept low enough that it looked like he kept bat on it. 45 for 5.
There's a little bit there going back to what Tucker missed out. One of the things that we talked about, Tucker missed out. He sort of missed stumping earlier, and that was it was Cleaver. He was 40 off 30 at the time, and missed the stumping, and then both the batter and the keeper were just standing there, not looking, just like, who's going to move? Batter thought he was going to be out stumped by some distance, and Tucker didn't scramble, didn't sort of go looking for it, and turned it to just a dot ball. But there,